impacting lives positively.
Multilink, roll with control. Use Multilink, safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Against all odds, coming soon to Nationwide 90 FM. Join us as we relive compelling sports stories about the agony of defeat.
I don't blame anyone. As I said, I'm the captain of the Australian team. It's on my watch and I take responsibility.
The jubilation of success.
I've dedicated all my life to being the best and to being the best track and field person I can possibly be. Trying to be a legend, trying to be the greatest, trying to be unstoppable.
And the roller coaster ride that sports carries.
I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody ruthless. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Against all odds, coming soon to Nationwide 90 FM.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the U.S. suspension of immigrant visa processing shows Jamaica must build up its own country for its citizens.
We're going to pursue even more, making our country the place of choice to live, work, do business, raise families, and retire in paradise.
Chairman of the Police Federation, Arlene McBean, blasts Indicom for failing to condemn the killing of police by criminals.
We want them to independently, thoroughly, objectively, and neutrally investigate cases.
Opposition spokesman on education Damien Crawford wants greater focus on learning recovery in the hurricane response efforts.
Statin data collection for the CPI and labor force disrupted by Hurricane Melissa.
The Works Minister Robert Morgan pushes back on criticism of One Road Authority.
In news from the rest of the world, U.S. forces seize a sixth Venezuela-linked oil tanker in Caribbean Sea.
European military personnel arrive in Greenland.
In sports, Jamaica suffers second straight defeat in West Indies women's T20 Blaze.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, Statin says the passage of Hurricane Melissa in October significantly impacted the data collected for its consumer price index and the October 2025 labor force survey. We'll hear from Statin's acting deputy director general, Dr. Natalie Simpson, and the acting director of the Administrative Statistics Division, Xiomara MacDonald.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, would you support the establishment of one entity to repair all roads? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the government has launched their shelter recovery program, a comprehensive national framework designed to support post-Melissa housing recovery and the restoration of stability for affected households. The Labor and Social Security Minister, Pernell Charles Jr., will join us.
At 7, the Bahamas government says it will remove value-added tax VAT on foods effective April 1 this year. We'll hear from the Director of Communications at the Office of the Prime Minister in the Bahamas, Latre Raming.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile Nationwide 90 FM, RevoNews.ai, and on the Revo News app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, Thursday, January 15, 2026.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the decision by the United States government to suspend the processing of immigrant visa applications from 75 countries, including Jamaica, highlights the importance of building up the country for its citizens. The freeze was announced by the U.S. State Department on Wednesday. Shalois Michael reports.
The U.S. State Department says the visa pause will take effect on January 21. It will continue indefinitely. The Trump administration says the freeze is aimed at immigrants who take advantage of the American welfare system at unacceptable rates. But the suspension will not apply to those seeking non-immigrant, temporary tourist or business visas. Speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Thursday, Dr. Holness says the ultimate solution is to build up Jamaica for its citizens.
We do have an obligation to pursue diplomatic channels, but we must always bear in mind that's a sovereign decision by a sovereign country, and we make no pronouncements on it other than we will use our diplomatic efforts to restore normalcy. But bear in mind the position. We must build our own country. And we need to stop this kind of view that, it's so easy to say, there's a kind of cynicism, but this is no reality.
Prime Minister Holness says his administration must be careful in how it negotiates to secure the best outcome for Jamaica.
It's easy to say go on and lobby, but you also have to bear in mind that sometimes these things are called negotiations. What are you going to give? What are you going to get? The Jamaican public, I think, needs to understand that we are in a different era of global and geopolitical, geoeconomic, and geomilitary politics. And it requires a certain smarts, a certain foresight and thoughtfulness to manage the process to keep Jamaica safe.
Dr. Holness noted that there is a growing resistance to accepting immigrants to developed countries. But the Prime Minister says for his part, it will always be Jamaica first.
There is a growing public view in many developed countries. I don't know if Jamaicans follow international affairs, but you're seeing a growing trend for countries to want to stem immigration. We will pursue diplomatic channels, but we are going to pursue even more, making our country the place of choice to live, work, do business, raise families, and retire in paradise. I think that is a greater objective that we must do.
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Holness says Jamaicans should not be disturbed by the policies being pursued by the Trump administration. He says the record has been clear.
My own view is that President Trump is pursuing a strategic agenda, which I don't think it is a surprise to many. It's well documented. You can read several of the international articles and several of the think tanks and what they have published. So you understand what it is that they are about. We should not be fazed by this. And I think that is where the challenge is. There is an expectation that the global order is always going to be the way we thought it was. The global order changes over time.
Instead, the Prime Minister says Jamaica must learn to adapt to the new world.
What we must do as a small, developing country is to be able to position ourselves to take advantage of opportunities that are created and protect ourselves from threats. All right, we should not get diverted into ideological debates which are just a smokescreen and diversionary from the main issue at hand. At the end of this, we want our economy to grow. We want to remain peace. We must rebuild the areas of Jamaica that were damaged. We must be more resilient.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness.
Chairman of the Jamaica Police Federation, Sergeant Arlene McBean, is calling on the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, to ensure that its probes are independent, objective, and neutral. She's also accusing the police oversight body of failing to condemn the killing of police officers.
When we look at INDECOM, have you ever seen INDECOM send out a press release condemning the killing of any state agent? But the fault finding, we want them to independently, thoroughly, objectively, and neutrally investigate cases and contextualize it and update the public. Stop allow the citizens of Jamaica to panic unnecessarily. To my colleagues, when INDECOM asks you for statements, do not believe you're above the law. Give it to them. Ensure that you cooperate.
Sergeant McBean was speaking at the funeral for Constable Charles Stewart in St. Andrew. Constable Stewart was one of two off-duty policemen shot and killed on November 13 last year during an altercation at a business establishment on Waltham Park Road. He and his colleague, Constable Jamari Gordon, were reportedly confronted by several men. Sergeant McBean says a clear message must be sent that the country does not support criminal sympathizers and that the killing of the police will not be treated lightly.
We see where criminals are out there doing their thing, calculating, strategizing surgically to take down law enforcement officers. This murder and the murder of Gordon, both Stewart and Gordon, we're not taking it lightly. And if we mean that, we are going to go down in the trenches, and if them underneath the beds of citizens in Jamaica, move the shoes, move the basin, because we are coming for the criminals. It's time for you to stop hug up criminalities in this country.
That's Sergeant Arlene McBean, the chairman of the Jamaica Police Federation.
Another wanted man in the St. Andrews South Police Division has been charged with murder after voluntarily surrendering to lawmen. He has been identified as 22-year-old carpenter Dwight Miller, otherwise called Glasses. Miller has been charged with murder, shooting with intent, possession of a prohibited weapon, possession of a prohibited ammunition, and using a firearm to commit a felony. The charges reportedly stem from an incident that occurred on Monday, February 19, 2024, on Lagos Drive in Painland, Kingston 11. Reports are the police, while on patrol, responded to reports of gunfire in the area. Upon arrival, a man was found suffering from gunshot wounds and was transported to hospital, where he later died. Another man was also injured during the incident. The scene was processed and several items of evidential value were seized. Following the recording of statements and further investigations, an arrest warrant was obtained. On Monday, January 12, 2026, the accused attended the Hunts Bay Police Station, accompanied by his attorney. The police say the warrant was later executed and Miller was formally charged.
Now, proceedings in the high-profile trial of murder accused Constable Noel Maitland were brought to a halt on Thursday after the court was informed that 2 members of the 7-person jury are unwell. Supreme Court Judge Justice Leighton Pusey told the court that at least 2 jurors are seeking medical attention, making it impossible for the panel to continue hearing the case at this time. As a result, the matter has been adjourned until Monday. The delay comes as the trial nears its final stages, with closing arguments from both the prosecution and defense expected to start on Monday. Maitland is on trial for the murder of his girlfriend, social media influencer Donnelly Donaldson. He's also charged with the unlawful burial of her body, which has never been found.
The passage of Hurricane Melissa had a significant effect on the data collected by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, for its Consumer Price Index and October 2025 Labor Force Survey. The Institute made the revelation at its quarterly media briefing on Thursday. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
Statin says the data in its October 2025 Labor Force Survey provides a snapshot of Jamaica's labor market in the lead-up to Hurricane Melissa. It says for that month, only core indicators are available. This is due to short-form questionnaires being used for some households in Trelawney, Hanover, St. James, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. Statin says this was done to reduce the response burden following the passage of the hurricane. Despite those issues, Statin is reporting that the fourth quarter of 2025 saw an unemployment rate of 3.3%. The youth unemployment rate for the quarter was 10.6%, with 12.9% for females and 8.6% for males. For the month of October in 2025, 1,413,200 Jamaicans made up the country's labor force. The top 3 industry groups for employed persons were wholesale and retail trade, agriculture, forestry and fishing, and real estate and other business services. According to Statin, Jamaica's inflation rate was 1.3% for December 2025. This was the second highest inflation rate of 2025, second only to the prior month of November, which recorded a rate of 2.4%. The country's point-to-point inflation rate for December 2025 was 4.5%. The Greater Kingston metropolitan area recorded a rate of 1.4%. Other urban centers recorded a rate of 1.1%, while rural areas saw a rate of 1.3%. Statin says the overall 1.3 figure was heavily influenced by a 2% increase in the index for food and non-alcoholic beverages division. This movement was due primarily to a 4.5% increase in the index for the vegetables, tubers, plantains, cooking bananas, and pulses class, and a 5.6% increase in the index of the fruits and nuts class. These increases were attributable to the continued increase in the prices of some agricultural produce that were impacted by Hurricane Melissa. The index for the housing, water, electricity, and gas and other fuels division increased by 2.6%, largely influenced by higher electricity rates and rental costs. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
See twice the style for less at IQ Optical. Buy one pair of glasses and get your second and third pair half price. Don't miss out. Call 876-929-7732 or visit IQ Optical today, where clarity never looked sharper.
The time by IQ Optical is
14 minutes after 5.
Termites, rodents, or birds infesting your home or office? Call Rentokil Initial, the pest expert, at 876-926-4236 for a free pest assessment island-wide. The temperature brought to you by Rentokil Initial is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 out west in Montego Bay.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere, spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multi-link?
Continuing the news, opposition spokesman on education Damien Crawford says discussions on the sector should not be limited to external examinations but be broadened to include learning recovery. He says the gap is most evident at the early childhood level, as basic schools appear to have been left out of the government's post-Hurricane Melissa plans.
When we say that we are focused on the final exam, it is because of a lack of appreciation of the phases of education. Indeed, there are some schools now that are only facilitating exam students. And so there are going to be persons suffering learning loss at all the other stages based on just the commitment to the final exam. In fact, to this point, we have heard no proposal for basic school rehabilitation.
The government announced changes to the primary exit profile PEP exams to better assist students impacted by the Category 5 system. The Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, has also proposed a modified approach to its exams for schools across 7 parishes. Mr. Crawford has welcomed the news, but he says exam adjustments alone will not address the long-term impact of the hurricane on the education system.
The conversation that we have heard to this point remains focused on learning loss, but very limited conversation on learning recovery. After the loss, there is a need for a plan for recovery. Recovery might be repeating a grade. Recovery might be a summer semester. Recovery might be scaling down to focus. For example, in our primary schools, we are focused on being rounded as versus focused on being literate and numerate. And then recovery might be to professionalize through vocation study, to immediately intervene by having vocational training within the high schools so that they can leave with a profession.
Damien Crawford, opposition spokesman on education. He was a guest speaker at a meeting of the Rotary Club of Kingston on Thursday.
Works Minister Robert Morgan is describing as premature the criticisms leveled against the proposed One Road Authority by Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby. Minister Morgan spoke with our news centre on Thursday. Khaleesi Wright reports.
The Wholeness Administration has proposed a single road authority to manage the repair of all the nation's roads. This is aimed at guaranteeing uniform construction, maintenance standards, and consistent quality across the island. But Kingston's Mayor Andrew Swaby has criticized the proposal. The mayor says the government has not done enough consultations. He's also questioning the power local authorities would have left if the authority is established. He believes the proposed authority could disenfranchise residents of parochial communities. But Minister Morgan says the mayor is throwing cold water on a proposal that has yet to be fully fleshed out.
In the consultation on the authority, of course, we're going to have to engage with the parish councils. I'm supposed to meet with Minister McKenzie as well on the matter. But it's a bit premature for the mayor to be throwing cold water on something that he really does not know about, because we have not yet promulgated a policy. We have not yet put out a paper for debate. What we have said is that we want to have a one-road authority that's going to be a regulator for all roads, which is the responsibility of the government, but also an authority that will enforce standards to ensure that when people pay their taxes and roads are being repaired, they're repaired to a particular quality.
He says it's not the government's intention to rid local authorities of their power.
There is no standards for roads in Jamaica unified across the board. And there are so many roads that nobody wants to take responsibility for. The objective of the One Road Authority is not to disempower the parish councils, but it's to say to the parish councils, yes, there are some roads that should be parish council roads, but there are some roads that have reached a stage in terms of usage, in terms of national priority, that by right it would be unfair to ask the parish councils to deal with roads that go to port, some roads that go to major towns, some roads that are supposed to be emergency routes for emergency services that probably goes to hospitals.
Minister Morgan outlined road work that had to be done by the National Works Agency due to what he says is the negligence of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KCMC.
The mayor cannot on one hand not be doing what he says he's supposed to be doing, but then at the same time telling us that we should not try to find a way to fix the roads. The people of Birdsucker Lane have been complaining about the quality of their roads for a very long time, and the mayor has not fixed their roads. Several times Arcadia was fixed. It was the National Works Agency that fixed it. That's not an NWA road. There are two big potholes on Paddington Terrace right now that the people have been calling on the KCMC to fix. I know personally of persons who have reached out to the KCMC to fix Paddington Terrace, and they have not fixed it. The last time these roads were fixed, they were fixed by the National Works Agency.
Khaleesi Wright for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The U.S. has captured a sixth tanker in the Caribbean Sea in its ongoing efforts to control exports of Venezuelan oil. The vessel, named Veronica, was boarded in a pre-dawn operation on Thursday. According to the U.S. military, the tanker was defying President Donald Trump's quarantine of sanctioned vessels. The crude oil tanker was sailing under a Guyanese flag and departed empty from Venezuelan waters in early January. The International Maritime Organization's database shows the vessel was previously registered in Russia under different names. It comes a day after an American official said the U.S. had completed the first sale of Venezuelan oil, which was valued at $500 million.
A small French military contingent has arrived in Greenland's capital as several European states deploy small numbers in a so-called mission. The limited deployment involves Germany, Sweden, Norway, Finland, the Netherlands, and the UK. It comes as U.S. President Donald Trump continues to press his claim to the Arctic island, which is a semi-autonomous part of Denmark. French President Emmanuel Macron said the initial contingent would be reinforced soon with land, air, and sea assets. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the deployment of additional European troops to Greenland will not impact the president's decisions to acquire the territory. The U.S. already has a military base in Greenland, currently staffed by up to 150 people.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says U.S. suspension of immigrant visa processing shows Jamaica needs to build up its own country for its citizens.
We are going to pursue even more, making our country the place of choice to live, work, do business, raise families, and retire in paradise.
Chairman of the Police Federation, Arlene McBean, blasts Indicom for failing to condemn the killing of police by criminals.
Opposition spokesman on education, Damian Crawford, he wants greater focus on learning recovery in the hurricane response efforts.
Statin data collection for the CPI and labor force disrupted by Hurricane Melissa.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And listeners, you can find the news on our website at rivernews.ai and on the River News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next. The headlines at 6.
This season is the time. Digital is gifting smiles. Gift a smile, gift a smile, gift a smile. 64 people to win a grand prize. 250K to help you to gift a smile. Plus groceries and farming supplies. Keep your loved ones in mind. Gift a smile. Sharing the love from me to you. Samsung tablet video and your crew. Gift a smile, gift a smile. This season, make sure everybody good. Digital is helping you to gift a smile, gift a smile, gift a smile.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. We start with the news on football. Montego Bay United, they're back top of the Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League. They did so a short time ago after beating Tivoli Gardens by 1-0 at the Edward Seaga Sports Complex. Captain Owain Gordon scored for MBU in the 62nd minute as they moved to 35 points. That's a 3 clear of second place Racing United, who led the league for less than 24 hours. Portmore United moved closer to the leaders as they blitzed Spanish Town Police 4-0 in their St. Catherine derby at Ferdinand Park. Defender Clayton Peck bagged a brace for Portmore, with other goals coming from Ronaldo Robinson and Marcus Reed. Portmore are now on 30 points as 5 of the leaders and 2 behind Racing. In another completed game on the day, Harbourview moved off the relegation zone after playing out a 1-1 draw with Waterhouse at Compound. Rohan Brown gave Harbourview the lead on 54 minutes, but Colorado Murray equalized against his old team on the stroke of full time. Chapelton Maroons, who are on a 3-game unbeaten run, will face Arnett Gardens at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex at 7 p.m. 3 Jamaicans have been appointed to the FIFA referees panel for 2026, bringing to 21 the number of football officials from the country now on the elite list. The lone referee appointed this year from Jamaica, Alexi Perry of St. Catherine, while assistant referees Rickton Archer, also St. Catherine, and Keone Denton of Clarendon got their maiden appointments as well. Jamaica leads the region with FIFA appointments. They've got 21, as I mentioned. Trinidad, they come next with 14, and St. Vincent Kitts and Nevis, they're next with 11 officials. Jamaica women endured a second straight loss in the Cricket West Indies T20 blaze after going down by 6 wickets to Barbados at Arna's Vale on Thursday. The setback followed their opening 9-run defeat to the Leeward Islands, leaving Jamaica still searching for the first win of the tournament. Sent to bat, the Jamaicans made 110 for 6 from their 20 overs. Abigail Bryce, she top scored with a 33, while the captain Rashada Williams made 31. Disciplined bowling from Barbados proved decisive, with Kayla Elliott claiming 3 wickets and Tierney Herbert Mears picking up 2. In response, the Barbadians posted 111 for 4 of their allotted overs. Ebony Brathwaite led the way. She got 36, anchoring the innings. Jamaica's bowling effort was spearheaded by Chile Nation, who bagged her 3 wickets. Jamaica will look to bounce back when they face Guyana in their next game, and that's on Saturday. Meantime, Trinidad and Tobago, well, they beat the Windward Islands by 16 runs in their game today, and of course that's the second game. Remember, there's a trip ahead doubleheader every day on match days at Arnesville. So that was the second game. The Trinidadians batted first. They made 95 for 7 in their 20 overs. And Nisia Mohammed, their West Indies star, made 29 not out. And Leanne Kirby, another West Indies player, made 28 in response to Winwards, who bowled out for 79. Janila Glasgow, 21. Afi Fletcher, 14. And Ashleen Edwards, 10 are the only players to reach double figures. So the West Indies players are showing up in this tournament. Impressive. Mohanabi and the Samara Rathnat took 3 wickets apiece in the day's final game. Guyana and the Leeward Islands, they'll go at it in just about 32 minutes from now. It starts at 6 o'clock Jamaica time, also at Arnesville. And the West Indies, they surged into the lead in Group D at the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup. They scored a victory today by 5 wickets over Tanzania, and that victory came in Namibia on Thursday. The Caribbean boys produced an efficient all-round performance, first with the ball after they bowled out the Tanzanian, the East African country, for 122 in 34 overs. And the Jamaican Vital Lowe's, he led the way with 3 wickets for 23 runs. Michael McKenzie and Shaquan Bell weighed in with 2 wickets apiece for the West Indies. And chasing a modest target of 123, the West Indies reached their required target. They reached 124 for 5, and they needed only 21 overs to do so. Tanis Francis anchored the innings with a composed 52, and it came off 55 balls, and he struck 5 fours and the 6. Joel Andrew, the star man on the team, he provided solid support with 44, and he ensured there were no late scares. Agostino Mbowele and Raymond Emmanuel, they bagged the 2 wickets apiece for the Tanzanians, but the target proved just too small to defend. Final scores in the game: Tanzania 122, West Indies 124 for 5, and the Windies will next be in action on Sunday. They take on Afghanistan. The game between Scotland and Zimbabwe, the host in Harare, their teams had to share a point apiece because the game was rained out. And finally, in sports at this time, organizers of the annual Gibson McCook Relays have announced a major revamp of the 2026 edition. They've opted for a shortened finals-only format aimed at boosting excitement and improving broadcast appeal. And chairman of the Entries and Registration Subcommittee, Ryan Peralto, says the decision to revamp the meet was taken after consultations and suggestions from various stakeholders. The 2026 staging of the meet is scheduled for February 28th at the National Stadium, and will run from 4 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., a significant shift from the traditional 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. format. Peralta told Nationwide Sports that while the move represents a change, it is not unfamiliar territory for the event.
It's something we did right after COVID, when we were just getting back into the staging of the Gibson McCook Relays, and we said, let's go with a finals only format. It'll be simpler, and let's see how it goes. And so we said, let's do that again this year, because there has been feedback to say, well, the meet's long, and interest and excitement, it kind of takes a long time for everything to happen. We have had just 1 or 2 reactions to it. Nobody has really brought up any issues, but we've only had a few reactions so far.
Yeah, and Peralta have a few more to say about the revamping of Gibson McCook Relays 2026, but you've got to wait until our next sportscast at 6:05 to hear what else he has to say.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:32.
Need to pass your CSEC CAPE exams to get that dream job or to qualify for university? Then Distinction College is the school for you. We have locations in Kingston, Spanish Town, St. Elizabeth, and Ocho Rios. Start day, evening, and Saturday classes this coming term and sit CSEC CAPE exams for January's resit or May, June. Maths, law, science, English. We have the lowest school fees. Register before the end of the month and win an entire term free. Call us at 354-8560.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825 to 8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Commercial spaces for you. Parks and attractions for you. Housing and residential developments for you. Beautiful rental properties for you. Improving quality of life through infrastructure development across Jamaica for you. The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you. Brought to you by the Urban Development Corporation.
UDC for you.
In times of loss, sharing information matters. Nationwide 90 FM offers professional obituary announcements, ensuring family, friends, and communities are informed with care and dignity.
It's been a long day.
Obituaries are aired weekdays at 8:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 7:30 p.m. When it's important to reach people, let us help you do so respectfully. Contact our sales team today, 876-630-1210, or sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com for more information. Nationwide 90 FM, informing Jamaica with care.
As a parent, you give your children a good start in life. You nurture, protect, and guide them. Parenting is a process that prepares your child for independence. As your child grows and develops, there are many things you can do to help your child. Stay tuned to The Big Show, nationwide this morning, for parenting tips. Fridays at 6:53 a.m. Only here will you learn everything you need to know about parenting. Tips to help parents navigate the incredibly challenging and rewarding journey of child rearing. Parenting tips on Nationwide at 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Public opinion.
Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are a Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a GLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy. Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network. Multilink. 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. Happy Thursday to you. This is The Cover Story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Happy afternoon to you, Sir Ricardo. Good afternoon to our listeners and viewers on YouTube. I'm Tyrone Reed.
How you do?
I'm too shabby for a middle-aged guy. How are things with you, man?
I'm all right for a young guy.
I wouldn't go that far.
Statin is in the news, listeners. The passage of Hurricane Melissa had a significant effect on the data collected by the Institute for its Consumer Price Index in October 2025 Labor Force Survey. The Institute made the revelation at its quarterly media briefing on Thursday. Mahira Stewart reports.
Statin says the data in its October 2025 Labor Force Survey provides a snapshot of Jamaica's labor market in the lead-up to Hurricane Melissa. It says for that month, only core indicators are available. This is due to short-form questionnaires being used for some households in Trelawney, Hanover, St. James, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. Statin says this was done to reduce the response burden following the passage of the hurricane. Despite those issues, Statin is reporting that the fourth quarter of 2025 saw an unemployment rate of 3.3%. The youth unemployment rate for the quarter was 10.6%, with 12.9% for females and 8.6% for males. For the month of October in 2025, 1,413,200 Jamaicans made up the country's labor force. The top 3 industry groups for employed persons were wholesale and retail trade, agriculture, forestry and fishing, and real estate and other business services. According to Statin, Jamaica's inflation rate was 1.3% for December 2025. This was the second highest inflation rate of 2025, second only to the prior month of November, which recorded a rate of 2.4%. The country's point-to-point inflation rate for December 2025 was 4.5%. The Greater Kingston metropolitan area recorded a rate of 1.4%. Other urban centers recorded a rate of 1.1%, while rural areas saw a rate of 1.3%. Statin says the overall 1.3 figure was heavily influenced by a 2% increase in the index for food and non-alcoholic beverages division. This movement was due primarily to a 4.5% increase in the index for the vegetables, tubers, plantains, cooking bananas, and pulses class, and a 5.6% increase in the index of the fruits and nuts class. These increases were attributable to the continued increase in the prices of some agricultural produce that were impacted by Hurricane Melissa. The index for the housing, water, electricity, and gas and other fuels division increased by 2.6%, largely influenced by higher electricity rates and rental costs. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Thanks. Go ahead, Tyrone.
Thank you so much for that report there, Mahir. We're now being joined by the Acting Deputy Director General of the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, Dr. Natalie Simpson, as well as Acting Director of Administrative Statistics Division at the Statistical Institute, Xiomara MacDonald. Ladies, top of the afternoon to you. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon.
And the cover story.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Well, let's begin with you, Dr. Natalie Simpson. We're hearing that the passage of Hurricane Melissa disrupted Statin's data collection efforts. How significant is that, and what does it mean for the numbers, the health of the numbers that we're hearing?
Okay, so there are a number of ways that the hurricane impacted data collection, in particular for the labor force survey. So let's start with just some, basic understanding. The October labor force has a reference week of October 5th to 11. Data collection started on October 12th. What it means then is that by the time Melissa made landfall on October 28th, we were already 2 weeks into data collection. Typically, data collection is around 6 weeks. So starting with just the extension of data collection for an additional about 2 weeks, as well as data processing. We would have also administered a short form, which was, brought earlier in your reporting, in the severely affected parishes. And they were named St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Trelawney, Hanover, St. James. The short form was, like it was said earlier, to reduce the burden not just on the respondent but also on our interviewers who were also affected by the hurricane. So the timelines were extended, and then once the data came in, we had to assess the quality of the data to ensure that there is comparability and to ensure that the estimates are robust. But as well, we had to make adjustments to the way we do our weighting. Because the short form, as it is, said, would only have a few questions from the long form or the extended standard questionnaire. So we had to make adjustments to our weighting procedures. But as well, we did quality assessments to ensure that all of the estimates are comparable and that they are robust.
And Xiomara MacDonald, so does that mean then that Jamaicans can absolutely trust the data?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We would have done our due diligence, which is the reason why some of the indicators, speaking on the labor force side, why some of the indicators are not available for this quarter, because those were not measured on the short form, and therefore, in terms of how we do our estimation and weighting, we wouldn't be able to make those available. So we would not publish it if it didn't meet our quality standards.
So for those who are looking on, listening, and they're saying, look, these shortened questionnaires that were used in several Western parishes, and they're wondering what key information was lost as a result of the use of these shortened questionnaires. Can you give the assurance to those who are watching and listening that this is in keeping with international best practices?
Absolutely. In fact, the short form that was used is based on a recommendation from the International Labour Organization on short questionnaires or short form questionnaires that can be used in longer surveys. In essence, what it does is just measure labor force status, so employed, unemployed, and outside the labor force. But the concept and definition is consistent with what is done, usually in our typical survey or what was done on our long form. So it is consistent with the ILO recommendations. In terms of the questions that or estimates that we would not be able to produce, we have some labor underutilization rates starting from our LU2 to LU4, which speaks to term-related underemployment and potential labor force. Those would require additional questions, and so those questions were eliminated from the instrument. Additionally, there are some disaggregating variables that we would use, such as household type or the sex of the household head or level of education. Those would not be available from the short form. Number of hours worked. Those are some additional questions that were not available on the short form.
Isn't that important to determine whether or not someone is actually employed, number of hours worked?
Can we take that? Can we take that after the break? We're up on the break.
Order Pizza Hut online at pizzahutjamaica.com or through WhatsApp at 876-837-4488. Pizza Hut, now that's delivery. The time by Pizza Hut is
5:45.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multi-Link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multi-Link?
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. This is the cover story. As you know well, listeners, Hurricane Melissa had an impact on several aspects of national life. Statin is reporting that it impacted their data collection in October last year, explaining what happened and how it affected the final data being presented. We have Acting Deputy Director General of Statin, Dr. Natalie Simpson, and the Acting Director of Administrative Statistics at Statin, Xiomara MacDonald. Before the break, Tyrone, you had posed a question.
Based on that comment about the number of hours worked not being recorded in these shortened forms, Madam Acting Director General, isn't that an important component of determining whether someone is actually employed, if they meet that threshold of what we consider to be employment?
Because employment is determined based on whether somebody is working at least for 1 hour during the reference week. That is first and foremost. So you are only considered employed if you are working for at least 1 hour during the reference week. And if you were with job but away from your job. So persons on vacation, for instance, would still be counted as employed. So the actual number of hours that you do work is not included in the determination of employment versus unemployment or even outside the labor force.
Xiomara, I'm sure another question Jamaicans have is whether the data we're seeing presented here would adequately or properly capture what happened during Hurricane Melissa.
Yes, and you're referring to the consumer price index,
right?
Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it does adequately cover what is happening on the ground. We would have expeditiously sent out our team, and as I stated earlier today, when because of the hurricanes and the impact it had in Jamaica, we normally would collect for 1 week, the first week of each month and also the third week of each month, but we had to extend the collection period, especially for November, to 2 weeks, to also allow persons and businesses to recover and to open back. So yeah, we did capture what was happening on the ground.
Go ahead, Tyrone.
Go ahead, Ricardo.
No. So my next question was going to be because the numbers seem, if you're saying it adequately captures what's on the ground, it doesn't seem to have had a significant impact. Certainly not yet. Oh, we've lost the ladies. We're speaking to Dr. Natalie Simpson of Statin and Xiomara McDonald also of Statin. Yeah, because Tyrone, the headline numbers doesn't suggest any major impact.
Yeah, 3.3%, I think, is
unemployment rate for the fourth quarter, of 2025,
yes. Yeah. Do you recall what the previous reporting number was?
It's down 0.2.
0.2%.
Just trying to find out. Yeah, it's not. It's not significant.
Perhaps in other reports, you'll see the impact because there are businesses that were completely destroyed.
Yeah, Dr. Simpson is back with us. Dr. Simpson, you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Yes, no, I was saying, so the answer was that it adequately captures what was happening on the ground during and post the hurricane, but I'm saying the headline numbers aren't suggesting to me that there was a significant impact from the hurricane. How do you explain that?
All right. I guess, yes, a lot of expectations, let's use those words, would have been happening. So the hurricane would have made landfall on the 28th of October. And the November bulletin, as was stated, was the highest. The November was the highest we recorded for the year up to that point at 2.4%. Right. There was a shock, and at least an initial shock that happened, especially in agricultural area. But I can say, and for the numbers are coming in, the prices are coming in, that we're rebounding. They are available, so we don't really have much of a shortage. What persons really did expect. So it's an average out of what is happening on the ground.
So Dr. Simpson, do you anticipate that in future reports, perhaps the one that will follow this one, that will perhaps see the true impact of the passage of Hurricane Melissa?
Or a more significant impact?
So if you are thinking this quarter versus, or this labor force versus the one that we reported on today, yes, you are more likely to see some impact. But just one thing to note, when we field a labor force questionnaire, it is based on a reference week. So when you think of the fact that the hurricane made landfall on October 28th, the reference week for the one that was released today was 2 weeks prior, then it is obvious that you wouldn't see the impact. However, for the one that is being fielded the current quarter, this, I believe, the reference week is this week. And so you would be able to see, as at the reference week, what is happening.
Okay, so the data collection took place ahead of the passage of the hurricane.
Started ahead of the hurricane, yes, it did. And the reference was ahead of the hurricane.
So we can't be looking for the impact of the hurricane in this data that was collected.
Not from the October labor force, no.
Right. Absolutely understandable. Bear with me, Dr. Simpson. I'm a little slow on Thursdays. To the question that I asked you about not measuring how many hours someone has worked in this shortened form, abbreviated form, how would you determine that they have met the 1 hour threshold if it's not recorded in this abbreviated form?
So the basic question to determine labor force status has that built in, and in terms of the definition, the concept, and the understanding. So even the training of our interviewers, that is an understanding. You can only indicate on the questionnaire that you were working if you were working for at least 1 week during the reference week. So that is built into the determination of labor force status. So we wouldn't need to actually calculate how many hours, which is a separate question, to help us really to determine time-related underemployment, because you have to be working part-time and require more hours to be working in order to be classified as in time-related underemployment. So we need the number of hours for different reasons, but the basic in terms of what criteria you need to meet for the labor force would already be covered by the core set of questions. And just to clarify, earlier I mentioned the reference week for the current quarter. It was actually January 4th to 10th. So that is, based on what was happening during that week, is what you're going to understand when we release the current quarter.
Yeah. You're reporting that males and youth showed an increase in being outside of the labor force. Any indicators as to what may be driving that?
So typically, persons outside the labor force, a huge percentage of persons outside the labor force are engaged in school activities, or something, training, education type program. That is, though, one of the questions that we were not able to fill on the long form, and so we wouldn't be able to tell you all of these people what they were doing outside of the labor force.
So it's not necessarily that they are not being productive.
Right. So outside the labor force includes, for instance, persons who are doing home duties, right? They're taking care of dependents. Like I said before, a significant proportion of those persons are also in school because they're young adults. So just speaking to historically what we would see in the data. But like I said before, that is not something that we'd be able to report on for this quarter.
Yeah.
And Sierra McDonald, this isn't your first rodeo in terms of the numbers, seeing you're in charge of the Administrative Statistics Division. Based on what we've been seeing, and the images have been absolutely hard to look at in terms of what happened out, particularly in the western parishes, should we brace for really, really bad numbers when you release the next set of figures based on your understanding of these things?
Okay. As you know, we collect what is on the ground, analyze and disseminate. If I'm going to use the December prices and the figures thus far, as I said, we're rebounding, very diligent and resilient as a country. And, right. So I guess when we're producing the January index and the figures, we will see how that looks.
So we might see the resilience of Jamaica, not necessarily the devastation that we all are anticipating to see in these numbers. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
As I said, I'm sticking to the data, sticking to the collection.
All right, let me take you to the data. Let me take you to the data you have without the projections. Housing, electricity, and rental costs. Those also showed signs of rising sharply.
Right.
Are those temporary? Yeah, it's going to require you to do some projections. Are those temporary, or are you expecting them to be sustained? Yeah.
I can't speak to that.
All right, so maybe we could ask it this way then. What drove it at the time?
Well, we know that the rents that do fluctuate, depending on what we have a rotating sample, first of all, right? So it's a...
And for those who are not trained in stats, so it's a rotating sample.
Rotating sample, right. So for each quarter, so we do the rental quarterly. It's pretty much, so for instance, quarter 3, we would have had a sample, and then quarter 4, we'll be using half of the quarter 3 sample with another half out of the regular sample, and that would be the quarter 4 sample. So we try to encompass as the entire sample for each quarter and to get an average of what the rent is. So we do see movement. As you know, rent, this is not static. So we're not seeing any particular reason as to why, but on the ground, and we do live in Jamaica, and we know that rent is not static, or does it fall? Right.
Dr. Simpson, your data collection officers or agents, these are people that you employ each time you have to administer any kind of survey, or are they on some kind of retainer arrangement?
No, so we have permanently employed interviewers, that do our routine surveys, so our labor force, or CPI, and so on. We do employ from time to time contract workers, but for the most part, these results that we're reporting on today, the CPI and labor force, those surveys are done by our permanent contractors. And let me just take a moment to say, we really have to say how grateful we are to our interviewers who, although affected by Melissa, went out and did the data collection because they understand the importance of collecting the data, the importance of Statin's mandate, and the importance of that data to inform decisions.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Natalie Simpson, Xiomara McDonald, thank you so much, and we look forward to
thank you, ladies.
the new reporting that you will do soon.
Thank you so much, Daryl.
All right, thank you. The ladies there from Statin.
We need to learn our lesson. We can't pull the folks from Statin on anything but the numbers.
And ask them to look into crystal balls and project. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Shalois Michael. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the decision by the United States government to suspend the processing of immigrant visa applications from 75 countries, including Jamaica, highlights the importance of building up the country for its citizens. He was speaking on Cliff Hughes Online on Thursday.
We do have an obligation to pursue diplomatic channels, but we must always bear in mind that's a sovereign decision by a sovereign country, and we make no pronouncements on it other than we will use our diplomatic efforts to restore normalcy. But bear in mind the position. We must build our own country. And we need to stop this kind of view that, it's so easy to say, there's a kind of cynicism, but this is no reality.
The U.S. State Department says the visa pause will take effect on January 21. It will continue indefinitely. Prime Minister Holness says his administration must be careful in how it negotiates to secure the best outcome for Jamaica.
It's easy to say go on and lobby, but you also have to bear in mind that sometimes these things are called negotiations. What are you going to give? What are you going to get? The Jamaican public, I think, needs to understand that we are in a different era of global and geopolitical, geoeconomic, and geomilitary politics. And it requires a certain smarts, a certain foresight and thoughtfulness to manage the process to keep Jamaica safe.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Chairman of the Jamaica Police Federation, Sergeant Arlene McBean, is calling on the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, to ensure that its probes are independent, objective, and neutral. She's also accusing the police oversight body of failing to condemn the killing of police officers.
When we look at INDECOM, have you ever seen INDECOM send out a press release condemning the killing of any state agent? But the fault finding, we want them to independently, thoroughly, objectively, and neutrally investigate cases and contextualize it and update the public. Stop allow the citizens of Jamaica to panic unnecessarily. To my colleagues, when INDECOM asks you for statements, do not believe you're above the law. Give it to them. Ensure that you cooperate.
Sergeant McBean was speaking at the Thanksgiving service for Constable Charlie Stewart at the New Haven Seventh-day Adventist Church in St. Andrew. Constable Stewart was one of 2 off-duty policemen shot and killed on November 13, 2025, during an altercation at a business establishment on Waltham Park Road. He and his colleague were reportedly confronted by several men. Sergeant McBean says a clear message must be sent that the country does not support criminal sympathizers.
We see where criminals are out there doing their thing, calculating, strategizing surgically to take down law enforcement officers. This murder and the murder of Gordon, both Stewart and Gordon, we're not taking it lightly. And if we mean that, we are going to go down in the trenches. And if them underneath the beds of citizens in Jamaica, move the shoes, move the basin, because we are coming for the criminals. It's time for you to stop hug up criminalities in this country.
Sergeant Arlene McBean, chairman of the Jamaica Police Federation. Opposition spokesman on education, Damian Crawford, says discussions on the sector should not be limited to external examinations, but be broadened to include learning recovery. He says the gap is most evident at the early childhood level, as basic schools appear to have been left out of the government's post-Hurricane Melissa plans.
When we say that we are focused on the final exam, it is because of a lack of appreciation of the phases of education. Indeed, there are some schools now that are only facilitating exam students. And so there are going to be persons suffering learning loss at all the other stages based on just the commitment to the final exam. In fact, to this point, we have heard no proposal for basic school rehabilitation.
The government announced changes to the primary exit profile PEP exams to better assist students impacted by the Category 5 system. The Caribbean Examinations Council has also proposed a modified approach to its exams for schools across 7 parishes. Mr. Crawford welcomed the news, but he says exam adjustments alone will not address the long-term impact of Hurricane Melissa on the education system.
The conversation that we have heard to this point remains focused on learning loss, but very limited conversation on learning recovery. After the loss, there is a need for a plan for recovery. Recovery might be repeating a grade. Recovery might be a summer semester. Recovery might be scaling down to focus. For example, in our primary schools, we are focused on being rounded as versus focused on being literate and numerate. And then recovery might be to professionalize through vocation study, to immediately intervene by having vocational training within the high schools so that they can leave with a profession.
Damian Crawford, opposition spokesman on education. Works Minister Robert Morgan is describing as premature the criticisms leveled against the proposed One Road Authority by Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby. Minister Morgan spoke with our news center on Thursday.
In the consultation on the authority, of course, we're going to have to engage with the parish council. I'm supposed to meet with Minister Mackenzie as well on the matter. But it's a bit premature for the mayor to be throwing cold water on something that he really does not know about, because we have not yet promulgated a policy. We have not yet put out a paper for debate. What we have said is that we want to have a one road authority that's going to be a regulator for all roads, which is the responsibility of the government, but also an authority that will enforce standards to ensure that when people pay their taxes and roads are being repaired, they're repaired to a particular quality.
The Holness administration has proposed a single authority to manage the repair of all the nation's roads. This is aimed at guaranteeing uniform construction, maintenance standards, and consistent quality across the island. But Mayor Swaby has criticized the proposal. He is questioning the power local authorities would have left if the authority is established. Minister Morgan says it's not the government's intention to strip local authorities of their power.
There is no standards for roads in Jamaica unified across the board. And there are so many roads that nobody wants to take responsibility for. The objective of the One Road Authority is not to disempower the parish councils, but it's to say to the parish councils, yes, there are some roads that should be parish council roads, but there are some roads that have reached a stage in terms of usage, in terms of national priority, that by right it would be unfair to ask the parish councils to deal with the roads that go to port, some roads that go to major towns, some roads that are supposed to be emergency routes for emergency services that probably goes to hospitals.
Robert Morgan, Works Minister. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
Commercial spaces for you. Parks and attractions for you. Housing and residential developments for you. Beautiful rental properties for you. Improving quality of life through infrastructure development across Jamaica for you. The Urban Development Corporation, making development happen for you. Brought to you by the Urban Development Corporation.
UDC for you. In times of loss, sharing information matters. Nationwide 90 FM offers professional obituary announcements, ensuring family, friends, and communities are informed with care and dignity. It's been a long day. Obituaries are aired weekdays at 8:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 7:30 p.m. When it's important to reach people, let us help you do so respectfully. Contact our sales team today, 876-630-1210, or sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com for more information. Nationwide 90 FM, informing Jamaica with care.
Public opinion. Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are a Jamaican. Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. We kick things off with some football as Montego Bay United returned to the top of the Ray and Never Jamaica Premier League standings on Thursday after beating Tivoli Gardens 1-0 at the Edward Chiaga Sports Complex. Captain Owen Gordon scored for MBU in the 62nd minute as they moved to 35 points, 3 clear of second place Racing United, who led the league for less than 24 hours. Portmore United moved closer to the leaders as they blitzed Spanish Town Police 4-0 in their St. Catherine derby at Ferdinand Park. Defender Clayton Peck bagged a brace for Portmore, with other goals coming from Ronaldo Robinson and Marquise Reed. Portmore are now on 30 points, 5 off the leaders and 2 behind Racing. In the other completed game on the day, Harbourview moved off the relegation zone after playing out a 1-1 draw with Waterhouse at Compound. Rowan Brown gave Harbourview the lead on 54 minutes, but Colorado Murray equalized against his older team on the stroke of full time. Chapelton Maroons, who are on a 3-game unbeaten run, will face Onyx Gardens at the Tony Spalding Complex at 7 p.m. 3 Jamaicans have been appointed to the FIFA referees panel for 2026, bringing to 21 the number of football officials from the country on the elite list. The lone referee appointed this year was Alexi Perry of St. Catherine, while assistant referees Rickton Archer, also of St. Catherine, and Keone Denton of Clarendon got their maiden appointments. Jamaica leads the region with FIFA appointees, followed by Trinidad and Tobago with 14. St. Kitts and Nevis come next with 11 officials. The ISA Under-19 all-school football team are in Fort Lauderdale to compete in the CASA Under-19 tournament. The squad was selected from the island's top school football programs and includes 5 players from Manning Cup and Oliver Shield champions Excelsior High School, along with 7 players from the Costa Cup winners Steads. The team will be jointly coached by Excelsior's Kian Broderick and Omar Wedderburn of Steads, bringing together the leadership from Jamaica's 2 dominant schoolboy football institutions this season. Broderick says the primary objective of the trip is to provide the players with valuable international exposure.
Based on the players we have, it's a whole lot of quality, and basically there's physical, technical and tactical exploits in the competition. The competition is more of an opportunity for the youngsters to get the exposure in an attempt to garner scholarships to overseas university, as well as pro contracts with those are available as well. But it's for them to display the quality that they have been showing throughout the entire season.
However, the Excelsior coach admitted that the technical staff has limited information on the teams they will face in the tournament.
I'm not familiar with all the teams. I can remember playing against the Rush Academy team. I can remember just by watching the competition in years past, they would have done significantly well in the competition. So Rush is one of the teams that I expect us to get a lot of challenge for. I still believe that they probably are on their team, but I also believe that all the other teams are quality teams as well. So preparation is always important in anything we do.
Kian Broderick. Now to cricket, as Jamaica women endured a second straight loss in the CWI T20 Blaze after going down by 6 wickets to Barbados at Arnes Vale on Thursday. The setback followed their opening 9-run defeat to the Leeward Islands, leaving Jamaica still searching for their first win of the tournament. Sent into bat first, the Jamaicans made 110 for 6 from their 20 overs. Abigail Bryce top scored with 33, while captain Rashada Williams added 31. Disciplined bowling from Barbados proved decisive, with Keela Elliott claiming 3 wickets and Tian Herbert Mayers picking up 2. In reply, Barbados posted a 111 for 4 off their allotted overs. Ebony Brathwaite led the way with 36, anchoring the innings. Jamaica's bowling effort was spearheaded by Shadid Nation, who bagged 3 wickets. Jamaica will look to bounce back when they face Guyana in their next match on Saturday. Meanwhile, Trinidad and Tobago beat the Windward Islands by 16 runs in the day's second match. Batting first, TNT made 95 for 7 off their 20 overs. Anissa Mohammed made 29 not out, and Leanne Kirby 28. Karina Noel bagged 3 for 15 and Holly Charles 2 for 12. In reply, the Windwards were bowled out for 79. Janela Glasgow 21, Afi Fletcher 14 and Ashleen Edwards 10 are the players to reach double figures. Mohammed and Sharma Ramnath took 3 wickets each. In the day's final match, the Leeward Islands reached 12 for 1 against Guyana. The West Indies have surged into an early lead in Group D at the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup with an easy 5-wicket win over Tanzania in Namibia on Thursday. The Caribbean boys produced an efficient all-round display first with the ball as they dismissed the East African team for 122 in 34 overs as Jamaica's Vittel Laws claimed 3 for 23. Michael Mackenzie and Shaquan Bell weighed in with 2 wickets apiece. Chasing a modest target of 123, the West Indies reached the required total in 21 overs, finishing on 124 for 5. Tanis Francis anchored the innings with a composed 52 from 55 balls, striking 5 fours and a 6. Joel Andrews provided solid support with 44, ensuring there were no late scares. Final scores: Tanzania 122, West Indies 124 for 5. The West Indies will next be in action on Sunday against Afghanistan. Now, former West Indies wicketkeeper Jeffrey Dujan believes it would be out of desperation that the Caribbean team opted to reach out to former limited overs captain Nicholas Pooran to convince him to overturn his retirement decision ahead of the upcoming T20 World Cup. Dujan says whenever an athlete retires from the sport, their mindset also changes.
They figure that his experience would help, but a player that has retired now, I don't see that. Usually when a player retires, they lose that mental edge, and I don't know that he would be able to get that back, you know what I mean? Because, retirement is a decision that you make, and it changes your whole attitude, to, being active in the game. So I don't know if it's really a good idea. But they must be really struggling. They must be struggling, and results kind of show that we are, So it's sort of an admission.
Pooran, in a recent interview, explained that he decided to retire from international cricket at the age of 27 in order to maximize his earning power.
Everybody's saying that, retiring to go and play leagues and make money and stuff. Right? Yeah, that's easy to say. So what people want is that they want people to retire at 35, 36. When they're done, they've represented the country, committed 100%, and then go and play leagues and make money. But when you reach that age now, your value goes down, right?
Of course, Your
value goes down. So then you hear all these other cricketers going and play leagues now when they're finishing off their career.
Yeah.
But when you look at it and you look at the structure of teams don't want those personnel who are not going to offer a lot.
Nicholas Pooran. Now to track and field, as organisers of the annual Gibson McCook Relays have announced a major revamp of the 2026 edition, opting for a shortened finals-only format aimed at boosting excitement and improving broadcast appeal. Chairman of the Entries and Registration Subcommittee, Ryan Peralta, says the decision to revamp the meet was taken after consultations and suggestions from various stakeholders. The 2026 staging of the meet is scheduled for February 28 at the National Stadium and will run from 4 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., a significant shift from the traditional 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. format. Peralta explained that while the move represents a change, it is not unfamiliar territory for the event.
It's something we did right after COVID when we were just getting back into the staging of the Gibson McCook Relays, and we said let's go with a finals only format. It'll be simpler and let's see how it goes. And so we said let's do that again this year because there has been feedback to say, well, the meet's long and interest and excitement, it kind of takes a long time for everything to happen. We have had just 1 or 2 reactions to it. Nobody has really brought up any issues, but we've only had a few reactions so far.
He noted that the streamlined program is designated to keep fans engaged from start to finish.
The key to any event is that we are able to put on the event and that we're able to then bring a good quality event to the public. And when you have a finals-only event, we're expecting that will bring a little bit more excitement to the day, knowing that things are really concentrated. And this for many teams, maybe they're one shot, they're one event that they get to, or they're one time that they get to be on the track for a number of the teams. So we're hoping to get that kind of excitement from the event. And then overall, we're looking at what will come out of the event will be that with everything, sponsors, everybody else, they will see that, feel the excitement, and they will continue to give us their strong support as sponsors, because that's key.
Peralta also pointed to the advantages for broadcasters, noting that the tighter schedule allows for smoother live coverage and better storytelling around marquee events.
That's what we're really looking at, and that's been a big part of the feedback that we've gotten about the length of the day, as it's not. So it is much better for us if we can do an afternoon format rather than an all-day format. So we think that will also allow them to sort of bring the snippets of the events to people in a shorter time span.
Ryan Peralta, I'm Alex Swiby, and that's your sport.
In today's economy, smart investments matter more than ever. And real estate, it's one of the best you can make. But success starts with knowledge and regulation. That's where the Real Estate Training Institute comes in. Whether you're buying, selling, or starting a career in real estate, make sure you're trained and certified. Invest in yourself. Contact the Real Estate Training Institute today. Visit reb.gov.jm to get started.
season is the time. Digicel is gifting smart. Gift a smile, gift a smile, gift a smile. 64 people to win a grand prize. 250K to help you to gift a smile. Plus groceries and farming supplies. Keep your loved ones in mind. Gift a smile. Sharing the love from me to you. Samsung tablet video and your crew. Gift a smile, gift a smile. This season, make sure everybody good. Digicel is helping you to gift a smile, gift a smile, gift a smile.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
In times of loss, sharing information matters. Nationwide 90 FM offers professional obituary announcements, ensuring family, friends, and communities are informed with care and dignity.
It's been a long day.
Obituaries are aired weekdays at 8:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 7:30 p.m. When it's important to reach people, let us help you do so respectfully. Contact our sales team today, 876-630-1210, or sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com for more information. Nationwide 90 FM, informing Jamaica with care. Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. A special greetings to you on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, you know we like to hear from you, so we ask you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. It's something that we've been talking about, one road authority, a single road authority. Yes? So the Holness administration has proposed a single authority to manage the repair of all the nation's roads. This is aimed at guaranteeing uniform construction, maintenance standards, and consistent quality across the island. But Kingston's Mayor Andrew Swaby has criticized the proposal. He believes the proposed authority could disenfranchise residents of parochial communities. But Minister Morgan says the mayor is throwing cold water on a proposal that has yet to be fully fleshed out.
In the consultation on the authority, of course, we're going to have to engage with the parish council. I'm supposed to meet with Minister Mackenzie as well on the matter. But it's a bit premature for the mayor to be throwing cold water on something that he really does not know about, because we have not yet promulgated a policy. We have not yet put out a paper for debate. What we have said is that we want to have a one road authority that's going to be a regulator for all roads, which is the responsibility of the government, but also an authority that will enforce standards to ensure that when people pay their taxes and roads are being repaired, they're repaired to a particular quality.
Robert Morgan. So in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, would you support the establishment of one entity to repair
all roads? That's the public opinion question we're asking, and I'm going to start with our X platform, where Dr. Proud Yardman says yes, he would be in support of the establishment of one entity to repair all roads. Stryker says most definitely one that is run by vetted professionals. Indeed. On our Instagram platform, Preston Bernard says yes, he would support it 100%. So too Robert Gregory Lewis. Marshall saying yes. Willie Ryan Wilson, on the contrary, says no. That's putting too much strain on one entity. It can be shared where one focuses on highways and byways, while the other focuses on residential and corporate areas. Okay. Kimberly has a question. Kimberly is questioning, what's the purpose of local government if the central government will maintain or repair all the nation's roads? Bossy says, yes, indeed. Please don't allow the parish councils to have control of fixing our roads. Yeah. And I mean, this is based off of lived experiences. People may very well feel as though their roads are being neglected in some sense, the deplorable condition of the roads. Let's see what's happening on our Facebook platform. To the question, would you support the establishment of one entity to repair all roads? Prince Wellington says, yeah, man, 'cause Spark now reach at all. Okay. Audrey Allen says, yes, missing the days of the PWD, Public Works Department. Them the days road used to fix, not a thing, mash it up. Right now, if little water, yeah. Nicola Nicholson, yes, one body, whether they are lane, road, track, street, highways, byways, NWA, parish council. In this case, we hold one entity accountable. And on that note, Nicola, sometimes we the people, we're so frustrated with the deplorable conditions of our roads. And then when you go to a particular entity or someone, they say, oh, it's not our road. We don't have responsibility for this road, or we don't have responsibility for that road. And it's just so frustrating because at the end of the day, we are traversing these roads on a daily basis. And, you know, it's like it's a grown thing. Philip Jackson saying, we often see the authorities skipping over a bad road to go and repair aspects of the same road, saying that the road is not under their portfolio. Same thing. That arrangement need to change. Put all roads under one umbrella so there will be no cheap excuse. Too much hokey pokey or anky panky. Yeah. Okay, too much anky-panky, according to Philip Jackson. Michael Vaughn is questioning why not. He's almost sure that it was a function of the Public Works Department, PWD, before it was dissolved years ago. It can be done again. By the way, their roads were more lasting than these constructed today. Wonder what changed. Christopher Isaac, simply develop the capability, I don't know where that word come from. Christopher Isaac says, simply develop the capability of preventing or repairing these potholes before taking on things you can't manage, Mr. Minister. Okay, that's a message directly to the minister. George Elliott says, absolutely, it would result in better quality control and accountability. For Winston, he says, yes, that initiative should be here years ago. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the proposed single authority to manage the repair of all the nation's roads. Would you support the establishment of one entity to repair all roads? George Elliott says absolutely. Anthony Sheikh says, yes, I would. As it stands now, you don't know who is in charge of some of these roads. Yeah? And that's what I pointed out earlier. Let me go on over to our YouTube platform to see if we have some answers to this question here. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the YouTube because I see that we have a lot of people commenting and I want to get in as much as I possibly can. All right. Edgar Gordon says, I am in full support of one road authority. Everybody wants to spend taxpayers' money. Josephine says, yes, I would support it. User, I agree 100%. We would get better results. It would be properly done. More cars and heavy-duty vehicles are on the road. That's why they're not lasting as long. Okay. All right. Thank you for filling us in, Val. Valentina, appreciate it. LPY says, I believe central government should fix the roads. Oshoy Powell, time for something fresh, more accountability for our money. G. Paul fully endorsed the One Road Authority, the single road. Yeah. One entity is a good idea, says Michelle Bernard. For Bev, Bev is saying yes. Come back with One Road Authority as in former days with PWD. It's not my road. That's what we've been hearing when we reach out to parish council, when we reach out to NW. It's not, it doesn't fall under our authority, under our responsibility. Howard French, blessings to you. Too many shoddy road work. Yeah. So yes, Stan is in support of the single entity being established to repair all roads. Let me see if I can get in a few more of our YouTubers with these comments coming in. Ricardo says we want quality roads all around. So one authority, quality we say. Bertie says yes, one standard. Michelle Bernard, one entity would get rid of the excuses. We won't hear that this is a PC or agriculture road or parochial road or all kind of said crow fat. Sharon Bless says, Roby, we need a road different. We need a road different for trailers and heavy duty trucks, and the road will last. Okay. Kata is saying One Road Authority needed long time. Let this be under one umbrella, one standard for all the roads. Hey, you can't imagine how Spanish Town Road, when Spanish Town Road smooth off and the markings are done. Can you imagine? I mean, from as long as I can recall, Spanish Town Road, whoever is responsible for the thoroughfare, Spanish Town Road has been a sight. Yeah. And it's even worse when you traverse, because you feel every organ shake up in your body. I'm just gonna say, you feel when you're traveling on Spanish Town Road. Yeah, be prepared, because it's nauseating. I would think. Shade says I agree with One Road Authority. So too Orinthia Campbell. Yes, better accountability. Albert is in total agreement with One Road proposal. Over time, road issues will be solved. We can only hope and pray. Yeah. And Becca Grant is also in full support of the Single Road Authority. Leroy says, wishful thinking and hoping. We can only hope for the best. You know, there's no possible way that we can hope for the worst. So we will continue to hope for the best until time come. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:36. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Roby-Ann Williams. The UK economy grew by a faster than expected 0.3% in November after car production rebounded and the services sector got a boost. Growth was driven by an increase in industrial output. The office, that's according to the Office for National Statistics, ONS. Yes, and the industrial output, it helped by the return of production at Jaguar Land Rover's facilities following the cyber attack at the car maker. Now, with the budget on November 26, there was also an increase in services, particularly in activities such as accounting and tax consultancy. Economists welcomed the better than expected November figure, but said growth was set to remain moderate. The U.S. said it had agreed to cut the tariffs it charges on goods from Taiwan to 15% in exchange for hundreds of billions of dollars in investment aimed at boosting domestic production of semiconductors. The Commerce Department said the island semiconductor and technology enterprises had committed to new direct investments worth at least $250 billion. The deal also provides carve-outs from tariffs for Taiwanese semiconductor companies investing in the U.S. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 41 cents to buy $1, 214 Jamaican dollars and 26 cents to buy £1, and 113 Jamaican dollars and 84 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
In times of loss, sharing information matters. Nationwide 90 FM offers professional obituary announcements, ensuring family, friends, and communities are informed with care and dignity.
It's been a long day.
Obituaries are aired weekdays at 8:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 7:30 p.m. When it's important to reach people, let us help you do so respectfully. Contact our sales team today, 876-630-1210, or sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com for more information. Nationwide 90 FM, informing Jamaica with care.
This holiday season, give yourself the gift that keeps on giving. Speed Queen washers and dryers from Singer. Speed Queen appliances are built to last, providing you with reliable performance and efficient cleaning season after season. And for a limited time only, receive free laundry basket and Woolite detergent with your Speed Queen purchase from Singer. This Christmas, get 6 months to pay the cash price, 12 months no interest, and up to 24 months credit. Visit Singer today and get the ultimate laundry solution. Merry Christmas from Singer.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Good evening to you. Thank you so much for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, hello to you. This is Nationwide at 5. It's time for the nation's business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Top of the evening to you, listeners and viewers. I'm Tyrone Reed. Now, inside the nation's business, we'll be turning the microscope on the government's shelter recovery program and the launch thereof. The government has launched the shelter recovery program, and it's called SRP for short. It's a comprehensive national housing recovery initiative designed to support households affected by the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The program marks Jamaica's transition from emergency relief to structured, data-driven recovery focused on restoring safe housing and strengthening community resilience.
Now, the SRP has 6 core components. First, the roofs program, and that's a roof repair grant, which will be given via vouchers or prepaid cards. There will be a government-led repair program, and that's repairs by the JDF and international partners.
The partnership-led repairs is also a component, and this involves NGO and private sector supported repairs. Then there's the NHT support, which includes grants, low-interest loans, and fast-track insurance.
There's also a modular housing solution, which is the rapid deployment of the prefabricated units, and there's a relocation and regularization aspect, which means safer land and secure tenure. The Minister of Labour and Social Security, Pernell Charles Jr., joins us now. Good evening, Minister.
Good evening, Minister Charles.
Good evening to you both and to the millions listening to Nationwide across the world.
Indeed.
Let me start by understanding. So there's 6 different components. How do Jamaicans who are affected know which aspect they can access and how they access it?
So primarily, most persons will be accessing the roofs grants generally. But based on vulnerability and based on where you are, there are some persons who have already started to receive support in terms of their actual repair to their roofs, either through the government-led or partner-led programs. And once you receive that support, you know that that's the segment that you're in. But the majority of persons will receive support through the roofs grants. What we're trying to do is twofold. We're trying to make sure that we prioritize severity, which means that we want to start with the persons who have been most greatly impacted. So those persons that are in that severe damage category, we want to make sure that the $5 billion of the $10 billion in roof is allocated to them. We want to make sure also, secondly, that we target vulnerabilities. So wherever you are, whether it's minor, major, or severe, the goal is to target the vulnerabilities. That means the government-led repair that JDF is doing, for instance, that gives you a more complete solution. We want that to be targeted primarily to the persons like the senior citizens, persons with disabilities, persons who have any peculiar vulnerabilities, or communities that have been hard hit. So you'll see that moving forward, and even in what has been done, we're trying to develop even further stronger partnerships with persons like GEMS and IOM that will see us collaborating to have a multiplier effect of the cash grant. So we already have a $75,000 cash grant for the minor. We're trying to move towards a stage now where we will couple that with support from another partner and provide a full solution in terms of labor and material going, particularly to persons who are in those categories of being persons with disabilities or senior citizens or any other vulnerability.
Now, obviously, Jamaicans will welcome this.
Before you move on, Ricardo, so sorry about that. Minister, you did mention that the roofs aspect of the program will be $10 billion. I heard you correctly, yes?
To start.
To start would be $10 billion. 2 things I'd love to hear from you. The overall figure for all of this, because this seems pretty comprehensive. Roofs, government-led, partnership-led, NHT support, modular housing, relocation and regularization, which I want to come to finally. But of the $10 billion that's inside this roofs program, in the immediate aftermath of the hurricane, the government of Jamaica launched a website that collected funds from individuals, whether they're in Jamaica or in the diaspora overseas, who wanted to support the recovery effort. A decision was taken that those funds would primarily be dealing with roofs, I think it was, that was announced. Will we be seeing that funds in this $10 billion?
No. Those funds, again, I'm not the Minister of Finance, but to my understanding, a lot of those funds are geared towards the government-led repair. So a lot of those funds have been used to buy material that the JDF is now using to fix a compound, used to buy material to partner with JDF and Ghana, who are now in St. Elizabeth, JDF and Guyana, who are in Westmoreland. And so a lot of the work that we're doing has been supported through those funds.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's already in use, is what I'm hearing from
Already started. Matter of fact, if you listen to what the Prime Minister said, there is an NHT segment of the SRP. In that NHT segment, Tyrone, we have already dispersed more than 6,000 grants to persons who are NHT participants. So the process of deploying support from the shelter recovery program has long started. What is going to be launched at the end of, well, not launched, but what we intend to start to roll out by the end of January, early February, is the actual deployment of the benefit through the ROOFs program. Mm-hmm. The others have largely started.
So taken as a whole, initially, what are we looking at in terms of the entire SRP? What's the value of it, taken as a whole?
Well, it's billions. It's a lot. I mean, I can tell you specifically what you're looking at in terms of the roofs. But if I'm to do an estimate, it would double or triple what's in roofs alone. It's a lot of money in terms of what's taken. Because
you don't have a set figure on the initial rollout.
I don't have a figure that I can give you now. I don't want to give you anything inaccurate. I'd rather not give you until I can find it out. But I can tell you this. If you're looking on the other segments, it is not just material. You'd have to factor in the labor, the transport, and all of the other expenses that are correlative to you providing those solutions. So remember, in those sections, you're providing either full modular solutions, which is not just the actual modular solution, but the transportation of it and all of those.
How would you respond to the skeptic, though, Minister, that says we're rolling out this massive program and you're one of the spokespersons on this, and you're not able to tell us the initial total cost of this massive endeavor? That will not go down well with some well-thinking Jamaicans.
Well, I'm not saying I can't give you an estimate. What I can give you is accurate figures, and what I have an accurate figure on is that we have a $10 billion initial allocation, and that in the other segments, if you ask me for an estimate, you're looking at multiples in terms of billions. But the important part is that we're providing many different components, a suite of solutions for the people who need the support the most. And we're trying to make sure that we not just give you a cash grant, but if you have a vulnerability, we provide you with a full solution in terms of helping you to repair your home or providing you with a solution that is a home itself.
Yeah. Minister, whatever that final cost ends up being, accountability will be important. How are you verifying that the people who ultimately benefit, actually have a need? How are you going to verify that?
So we have a very rigorous system of assessment that is utilized by our social workers and the persons who are on the ground. There's a Jamaica Household Damage Impact Needs Assessment form called the JH-DINA. It's a tool that we use to carry out our assessments of each household, which includes not just the four walls and the roof, but the occupants, the assets, and all of the impact of the hurricane on the entire livelihood of the persons who are in that household. And that assessment process is what allows us to make sure that we have the whole process and mechanism being one that can stand up to scrutiny. The assessments have to then be verified, and you get onto the beneficiary list further to the verification. And any benefit that flows from the shelter recovery program, whether it is from roofs or any of the components, must be tied to that beneficiary list. So you can only receive a benefit if you have been assessed and verified and categorized as being either minor, major, or severe.
Art, help me with this now, because when we had those broadcasts where we went across the parishes that were worst affected, we did hear a lot of people say, yes, we've been contacted by somebody from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. Yes. But for those who may have been missed and they're thinking, I might have missed my opportunity, is it that they can apply, or they definitely would have had to be contacted in that period that you had the people going around and taking the assessments?
That's an excellent question. So persons like Tyrone Reid would be missed because he's always working. He's never home, right? So if you're never home,
yes,
then we wouldn't be able to complete. We could start it, but we couldn't complete your assessment. So what we do is twofold. We have a self-reporting tool on our website that you can go onto, and you can provide the information, and we will contact you, and we will do the assessment thereafter. But not everybody has access to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So we also, if we go there, we leave a calling card at your house so that you can, again, get in touch with us in multiple ways for us to know when to set up and arrange your assessment to be completed. And I can tell you, it has worked so far. More than 4,000 persons have accessed us either through the reporting tool or the calling card and being able to get themselves onto the assessment list. And these are lessons that we learned in burial, where you would hear the cry from persons saying, boy, I don't see the ministry, I don't see the ministry. Not true. The ministry was on your street, but again, you're at Nationwide doing work, so how can we find you, right? So the reality is we want persons to get out, we want economic activity, and so we create these new mechanisms to facilitate ensuring that no one is left behind.
You know as well, if I could just follow up on the point of the accountability, you know as well that we sometimes have high levels of informality. You know, people might not own the land, they might have been squatting, yes. The house might not have belonged to them. How do you treat with those situations? So I know Tyrone wants to get to the relocation, but if you find...
That's where this comes in, right?
Yeah, if you find that somebody did not own the land, they were illegally occupying the land, can they still access these benefits?
So, yes, and it's treated on a case-by-case basis. But let me give you the general principle. The general principle is that the government is advancing the program that it had to treat with informal settlements through regularization. So the Housing Agency of Jamaica, the NLA, the NHT, and those institutions that fall under the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development have all been brought into the SRP to make sure that they can address these issues in a comprehensive way, whether it is through relocation or regularization, or simply ensuring that persons are not put back into bad situations, but rather into more resilient situations. What do I mean? Not because you built there means that we're going to help you to rebuild there. But many persons have building places that are exposing them to danger. In those cases, we're going to have conversations to see where we can move those communities or those persons into more sustainable and resilient and safer places that the government owns, and we work out arrangements with them for the regularization and for their own tenure.
Am I hearing from you, Minister? There was a famous quote by Rahm Emanuel. He was the chief of staff to the then president-elect Barack Obama. He says you never want a serious crisis to go to waste. Am I hearing from you that the Holness administration is utilizing this crisis to address this whole business of land regularization and squatting and whatnot? Is that what I'm hearing from you, that you are weaving this into the process? Because it's been a political hot button issue that many administrations have not wanted to tackle. Am I hearing from you that the Holness administration is doing that?
Let me say this, Tyrone. The Prime Minister had appointed me Minister of Housing some time ago. So I'm not foreign to this concept. And even when I was there, one of his instructions was to advance this survey that we were doing. And the goal of that survey wasn't just to find out where we had informal settlement, but rather it was to move towards an outcome. And the outcome is to make sure that Jamaicans are in safe spaces, that Jamaicans are in orderly spaces where they can have access to the NSWMA functions, access to clean water, good roads, and where we can have constructive and productive communities. So yes, we are advancing the programs, not just because of Melissa, but because it is a part of this government's approach to sustainable development. This is a government that has been speaking about this way before this disaster. This is just, I wouldn't even say opportunity. It is just us continuing the discussion and making sure that those persons who have been displaced, that they are our priority. And we prioritize them by making sure that we don't put them back into any space that puts them in danger, but rather we have those conversations that are tough conversations, and we try to grapple with the communities being built in places where they're not only safe, but they can have access to the suite of government services.
Minister, don't interpret this question as being not in support of this, because I think it's important and it's something that needs to be done. So I'm placing that on the record. But many administrations before you have shied away because there is a political cost to pay. But I'm hearing from you that you are saying, look, we have weighed and measured this thing, and we are prepared to pay the political cost, whatever it may be. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Can I tell you? Look on the record of the Andrew Holness administration. There are many things that those before this administration could not be done, would not be done, that have been done and done successfully. And Jamaica always benefits. So again, part of what our Prime Minister demands from us is to tackle the issues that others do not and did not want to tackle. And this is not just because of Hurricane Melissa. The matter of dealing with regularization has started way before. If you look on it, I want you to do the research. There are several land titles that have been given out in terms of regularization through HHA under this administration, and it is not linked to a disaster. It just so happens that this presents another situation where we have to step in, and the government steps in with a clear strategic plan to place our people as priority in better and safer places.
What would you say to the taxpayer who says, boy, I'm uncomfortable with my tax dollars essentially going to rewarding people who were breaking the rules in the first instance?
Well, I can understand that there is some discomfort if you see it that way. But I think there's another perspective. There's another angle. There are several Jamaicans who perhaps did not get the opportunity to exist in the circumstances that you are in, and who need our help to lift them up, to place them into resilience, and to show them that this country is one that truly can move people from poverty to prosperity. And a part of that journey is going to be us as a government taking bold decisions to utilize our assets to the benefit of the people. And we've done it successfully so far. I think, this government has gone through COVID, through Beryl, through floods, through droughts, and now through Melissa. And every single time, we've come up with very strategic, deliberate approaches to make sure that Jamaica wins. That's what's happening.
Tyrone talks about, if I could just follow up, Tyrone talks about a political price, but there's also a political benefit, isn't there? Parishes like Westmoreland, where there are high levels of informality and land access issues. If this administration gets it right, you're going to see a political benefit in a parish that you've historically had a difficult time politically. Am I wrong?
Well, you're not wrong. And it's the same thing with the reductions in murders. We're now back to 1994 in terms of numbers. It's the same thing with the expansion of our road network. We've never seen it like this before. It's the same thing with the increase in salaries for all who are working in government and other. The reality is that every time we move the indicator in the right direction, it's a positive for politics. And we are politicians. What's wrong with that? It should drive us. But the reality is that political ambition and desire is also underpinned by good policy, by good programs, and by prioritizing the people of Jamaica. And as I said to you, thank God that we have this administration in place that put in place contingencies that would allow us to be able to confront a challenge like a Category 5 hurricane and have international bodies like the World Bank telling us that we have a world-leading stance in terms of our response. That's only happening not just because of politics, but because of good, strong policy. And that good, strong policy comes from strong leadership and management, and that's what the government is providing. If we get political gain from it, then I'm not shying away from that.
Yeah, interesting there from Ricardo, because if you absorb the political price, you will get the political gain, right? But it's something that needs to be done. But I want to ask you about the role of members of parliament in the SRP, Minister. During Wednesday's sitting of the PAAC, Your colleague MP on the opposition benches, though, Michael Phillips, said he's struggling to accept that MPs are, as he describes it, bypassed in the process of providing direct aid to people affected by Hurricane Melissa. We have a clip. I want to play the clip and get your response, Minister.
In an emergency, I find that the members of parliament are left out, and it's not just your agencies, basically right across government, as part of the response to constituents in our case. And we are generally the first respondent on the ground, ourselves and the councillors. And I find that even in the distribution of care packages, the members of parliament, before we got a pre-hurricane set of resources, which could not have been even dealt with until after the hurricane, and even then, there weren't any entities for us to purchase anything. When I asked the ministry for assistance, we were told that they are not going to be going through the members of parliament.
Yeah, of course, a response came to Phillips from someone from the ministry, but even Dr. Clark, I think, on this very program some years ago, accepted that going through the MPs is perhaps not the best way to distribute resources. You did say, we did say in our leading, based on what was provided to us about the SRP, that data-driven recovery, that is what the SRP is going to be about. What is the role of the members of parliament, and are we seeing what many people deem to be a good shift in how government resources are distributed? Well, because there are a plethora of pitfalls if you go through the members of parliament, given how partisan and political our history has been. Is this a deliberate move on the part of the Holness administration to move to a better model?
Well, the reality is this. We acknowledge and we appreciate the support and partnership with all leaders, including members of parliament, including councillors, including CDC leaders, including the church leaders. What happens is that sometimes some members of parliament assume wrongly that the Ministry of Labour and Social Security has a responsibility to provide them consistently with resources so that they can determine who those resources go to. That is not the principle or the policy, and I've been at pains to explain it. There is a time right after Hurricane Melissa when we utilized the members of parliament as part of our system of distribution, providing them each with a number of packages. Those who were in the West, wherever they were, we provided them with at least 300 packages and more for them to distribute. But we can't account for who they distribute to. The reality is that there were so many persons that needed help that we needed their help to do so. But once the ministry was able to get through the roads that were cleared, get our system back together, it's now our responsibility. And we were back on track. And the government didn't leave members of parliament out. Prime Minister was very clear and provided money to every single constituency for the members of parliament to have charge, full charge, for them to determine who they want and how they want it to go to them. So when I hear members of parliament crying out that the Ministry of Labour and Social Security or the government ought to give them more for them to do more, I think it is a misunderstanding of their own responsibility to be advocates and to go out and find for their constituency resources. And yes, whenever there are unique situations, we still ask them to write to us so that we can take account. For instance, let me give you an example. If Michael had somebody who had a disability or a senior citizen in some case, he can write to the parish office and give them the information, and we will go and do our investigation and provide them with the solutions. And why do we do that? So that when the Auditor General comes to our offices, we have clear records and information of what we have done with the allocations provided to us from the people of Jamaica. So we ask that the members of parliament become more understanding. I think the majority of them do understand, really. The cries really come from just a very small few. And many of them are persons who are just starting politics and really don't understand themselves.
As a sitting MP, though, it's a long-standing expectation of members of parliament over the years what is your take on it? I'd love to hear your take on it. Are there better ways to distribute state resources than to go through the members of parliament? For example, the Ministry of Labor, the other social safety networks that we have, those groups that we have in government, those systems can find the individuals who are needed.
Yeah, so it's a balance, Tyrone. I mean, sometimes there are some cases where the members of parliament and the councillors are excellent purveyors of providing support for programs. But generally, we have trained expert social workers who are in the communities on a weekly, daily basis, and their job is to know where the vulnerabilities are. So the usual process for us at the Ministry of Labour is partnership. But for some persons, how they define partnership is we give you and you do, and that's not the definition of partnership. So what we say to some of the, I don't want to just say members of parliament, to some of the leaders, is let us know, pass that information to us, and even in today's launch, I said it. Members of parliament, councillors, church leaders, if you know somebody, for instance, who has not been assessed or who has a vulnerability, write the Minister, Pernell Charles Jr., Minister of Labour, I know this person, and this is their address and cell phone number. We will then utilize our experts, do the investigation, verify, and act. And that is the process that allows the ministry to have a smooth movement in terms of allocation of budget to execution. That's why we do it that way.
Yeah.
The MP, opposition MP Phillips, also raised a concern about people benefiting multiple times or multiple people in one household benefiting.
Yes.
How do we avoid that kind? Are we trying to avoid that kind of duplication? Because if multiple people are in a house, does that constitute a single household is also a question that you need to respond to, because family members may have separate households even though they share a dwelling. So there's that. But how do we navigate those things? And is it a rule of thumb that if you benefit from roof, you shouldn't benefit from the government-led repairs, you shouldn't benefit from partnership-led or NHT, or is it that an individual can benefit from all of these components in a certain measure? Excellent
question. You went to a good school. Listen, the reality is that we want to make sure that there's as much equity and accountability. So if you benefit from, for instance, a 500,000 cash grant in roofs, we don't expect that you're now going to benefit from the government-led repair. It is one or the other, unless you're in a situation where you are categorized as major damage, where you would have gotten $200,000 on the roof, and the benefit that you got under whatever other segment is less. In those cases, it would be an offset, and we would give it the balance. And the reality, just to answer what you spoke of first, is one of the 10 principles of the SRP is elimination of duplication. And that is going to be a hard task based on what we went through in Beryl, but that's why we're employing different types of payment modalities this time, using digital platforms that allow us flexibility but greater management, where we will know where we'll be able to manage where you're going to be able to apply the digital code. We will be able to know when you get the product, what you get, where you get it from. We'll even be able to have an expiration date on the codes that you receive. Now, we also know that one system can't work for all, because there are many persons in rural Jamaica that are in circumstances that won't allow them to be able to have their phone and all of these things. So we're using a suite of modalities. However, the major modalities in terms of the digital platform will increase our capacity for accountability by multiple folds.
Have to leave it there. Pernell Charles Jr., the Minister of Labour.
Thank you very much, Grace. I appreciate it.
Social Security, talking to us about the Shelter Recovery Program, SRP. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to you guys being on the road with me sometime soon. Get out of the nice AC and let's hit the road. All right?
That's right.
Thank you, Minister. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to go to the Bahamas, where the government has announced the removal of VAT on foods.
On October 28, 2025, Hurricane Melissa devastated Jamaica. But your government is mobilizing, reaching every community, delivering relief, and rebuilding together. The time by the office of the Prime Minister is
12 minutes after 7.
In times of loss, sharing information matters. Nationwide 90 FM offers professional obituary announcements, ensuring family, friends, and communities are informed with care and dignity.
It's been a long day.
Obituaries are aired weekdays at 8:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 7:30 p.m. When it's important to reach people, let us help you do so respectfully. Contact our sales team today, 876-630-1210, or sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com for more information. Nationwide 90 FM, informing Jamaica with care. Jamaica, get ready for a powerful comeback story. The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is proudly reopening the business kiosks and shops at Border St. Elizabeth on Friday, January 16. And guess what? We're bringing the story to your ears when Cliff Hughes Online broadcasts live from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness will deliver the keynote speech alongside Ministers Orbit Hill and Floyd Green. So tune in to Cliff Hughes Online Friday, January 16 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's the reopening of business kiosks and shops at Border St. Elizabeth. Catch our broadcast live on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2, or turn your station to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
We're back with you on Nationwide at 5. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Tyrone Reed.
And we're heading to the Bahamas because the Bahamian government says it will remove value-added tax VAT on foods effective April 1 this year. The tax is currently at 5%. It was slashed in half from 10% in 2025.
Now, the zero VAT regime will apply to items, listeners and viewers, such as fresh fruits and vegetables, baby food, lunch snacks, frozen foods, and other groceries. Prime Minister Philip Davis says it's a significant step aimed at reducing costs for the Bahamian consumer.
He says the move is part of a broad effort which includes energy reform, the addition of new trading partners, home ownership concessions, and increase in local food production. We'll hear now from the Director of Communications at the Office of the Prime Minister in the Bahamas, Latre Ramming. Good evening.
Top of the evening to you. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Well, thanks for having me, man. This is my first interview by a Caribbean station during my time with Director of Communications, so it's a privilege.
Oh, well, welcome, and we're happy that you gave the interview to Nationwide. So let me start by asking you, is this just a political stunt to win the next election?
No, actually not. I mean, one of the things that the Prime Minister had insisted on when coming to was he was elected, he wanted to remove value-added tax off of grocery items. At the time, it was uneconomically feasible or conducive. The government then made the decision to reduce value-added tax from 10% to from 12% to 10%, which costs a lot of, I would say, create a stimulus in the economy and encourage broader economic productivity. Following that, the Prime Minister made a number of custom duties removal from a number of items, including food and a number of important things for groceries and stores. And then he increased the minimum wage. So once the economic conducive environment was clear, the Prime Minister last year reduced VAT from about 7.5, from 10% to 5%. And I think earlier, in the latter part of the year, the Prime Minister, when speaking to his economic team, was given the all clear that the economy was sound enough, the fiscal environment was conducive, that there wasn't any concern about any external variables around the revenue, and that the government was now in a position, after a very strong, robust recovery, to remove batch of unprepared items. So it was a long, fulfilled intention of the Prime Minister, and I think that the approach by the Ministry of Finance was to approach the issue with a level of responsibility and caution.
How much will this cost the country's coffers? How much is the Bahamian government giving up by making this move, Mr. Rami?
I think I don't have the figures in front of me. Neither was I was advised by the Ministry of Finance on what that would look like. The Prime Minister will next month give an address to what will be the midterm budget in the Ministry to Parliament. Obviously, he would indicate the government fiscal approach, but there's a number of new revenue streams that the government have. Obviously, the Bahamas move forward with its corporate income tax regime, rather than allowing the world to push it towards that type of infrastructure. And that is expected to bring significant revenue into the Bahamas. But I think the broader trade-off for us is what is the responsible thing for the government to do in a time of a cost of living crisis. We can't control a lot of things, but we can control internally. And I think that the Prime Minister thought that which was feasible thing to do is to remove VAT. So I don't think that there's any fiscal exposure for the government of the Bahamas. The actual whole, the Ministry of Finance wouldn't derive at this point if there was legitimate exposure.
So before you go on, because I think that's a very important point that must detain us. When was this announcement made, Mr. Ramming, that the Bahamas government is looking to remove the value-added tax on foods effective April 1? When was the announcement made?
The announcement was made I think last week, this Monday. This Monday was the announcement.
Yes, all right. And it has not entered the conversation since then. I find it a bit curious that it has not entered the conversation how much the government is going to be giving up. That as Director of Communications in the Office of the Prime Minister in the Bahamas, that you're not able to tell us that this is how much this move will cost. Shouldn't that be a cause of concern for Bahamians who are listening?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, the question, the Bahamian journalism, Bahamian press, had the Minister of Economic Affairs this morning. One of the things that the government of the Bahamas could be proud of is it has a fiscal responsibility and a fiscal reputation and credibility over the last 5 years. That when the government of the Bahamas makes decisions, especially decisions that's going to amount to the benefit of the wider public, that it has to track record of managing the fiscal affairs in the Bahamas in a very responsible manner. Keep in mind what this government inherited. It inherited a debt to GDP of over 100%. In the last 4 years, that's been reduced to low 70s. It had a wide deficit. The deficit is now significantly reduced. It had an unemployment of 18%. Unemployment is now as low as 8%, the lowest in 15 years. So when you look at the Bahamas receive its first stable rating and positive outlook for the first time in nearly 2 decades. So a government with that track record, when it makes a decision to remove VAT off of groceries for its people, they have the credibility that they have done it in a responsible way. And bear in mind, every decision that the government of the Bahamas have made, whether it was a reduction from 12% to 10%, whether it was a reduction from 5%, from 10% to 5%, there has always been critics of concerns. And the government have been able to demonstrate and to prove those skeptics.
So you're asking people to trust. You're asking about Bahamian people to trust your track record of, if I'm hearing you correctly. That's what I'm hearing from you. That's part A, and part B of the question is, at some point, will you be revealing how much this will cost?
Of course. I mean, there's no way that the Ministry of Finance didn't run the numbers or the models on what this position would have cost. I mean, this is the Financial Secretary Simon Wilson. Anyone knows him very well. He's a fiscal hawk. And he has a reputation in the Bahamas of being a fiscal hawk. And so for him to give the Prime Minister the green light to fulfill what his long intention has been, they wouldn't have run this with him. I first was made aware of the intention by the Prime Minister to reduce VAT to 0% about 3 weeks prior to the announcement, and that the Ministry of Finance was still internally running the numbers and gave a promise and indicated to the Prime Minister about the possibility of being able to do so. And then following the final meeting, that was happening now. So I don't communicate information that I cannot authoritatively or confidently speak to, and I cannot present numbers on that I have not inquired about. But I do know that in the coming weeks, the Prime Minister will give a midterm budget to Parliament, and that question will be answered.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, Mr. Raming, there was a conversation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The new government of Dr. Goodwin Friday announced a cut in the VAT, and there was a concern that retailers may not pass it on to consumers, and therefore it would become sort of something for the privileged and for the wealthy to enjoy. Any such concern in the Bahamas?
Yes, I mean, that has always been a constant debate. I don't know if you followed. There was a conclusion by a journalist, Teresa Jones, I believe, and her concern was whether or not, when it comes to VAT cuts, that is the risk that benefits the most, and that we should focus, because they could afford to pay. And what happens is that they would advocate for tailored policies and programs towards certain demographics. I think the challenge we have to take into account is how large is the middle class in most Caribbean countries. I mean, whether or not there's a large working class. And the truth of the matter is that because of the external pressures, because of higher inflation, the purchasing power has become relatively strained for many families. And so I think the government, from our account, look at what methods we could take into consideration. And I think for us, one of those were the case. Now, to your first initial point about retailers passing it on, that has always been a concern. Like I mentioned earlier, the government of the Bahamas reduced a number of duties on items, made it in some cases duty-free, in some cases reduced duties. And so we have started the process of creating competition legislation in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. The government is also looking at a price comparison app, which is going to force consumers and both retailers. It's basically putting the power of information in the consumer hands to know where they could get the best prices and the best deals. And thirdly, the government has invested tremendously in its consumer protection and price control officers to be able to police these type of environments. There's always a concern whether these things are being passed on. And to your second point, there's always a concern whether or not those who can afford to pay benefit from these tax changes.
Yeah. When are your elections due?
Well, the last election was held in September of 2021. I think the Constitution requires that the election must be held and consistent with the first sitting of Parliament, which I think it can't go beyond 2 months after the election. And so it really is up to the Prime Minister's hand, to determine when he wishes to call it an election, whether before September, whether after September. but the elections is due this year and not 2 months past September, I believe.
So we expect Prime Minister Davis to advise Dame Cynthia Pratt any moment now or any month now to dissolve the Parliament.
Well, I mean, I think that, everyone knows this. In the Bahamas, we know that this is an election year. And so, for us, we will continue to do the work that we've been asked to do until we've been indicated otherwise of a general election. But I think the Bahamas is maybe Dominica is other Caribbean countries that's facing up elections, but all of the other Caribbean countries have already went through a democratic process, and I think it's us that has to go through ours. Ironically, from a point of history, the Bahamas has not. We've had a pattern of changing governments. And I think that we are confident that we're in a position to break that historical trend.
And no doubt.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, and no doubt this VAT announcement should go some way in assisting you in doing that.
Which my question is tied to.
You both are students of Caribbean politics, and Caribbean people are particularly unique. So we hope that we'll be able to have a record, and I hope we're confident we'll have a record outside of the VAT announcement that shows some level of a large level of credibility.
Yeah.
Question to you was linked to that, Mr. Raming. What has been the reaction on the ground to the announcement? How have the ordinary Bahamian in the street been reacting to it? Have you gotten a chance to test the pulse of the people to see the reaction to it?
I think overwhelmingly, it has always been receptive. I think anything that could reduce costs will also be welcome. Obviously, this is an election year, so there's all going to be a degree of skepticism on the part of persons whether or not they think that the government is doing it for the election. But by at large, persons have been very positively receptive. I think the government has been able to make an argument on the basis of credibility that we've been consistent in providing relief. But no one is going to be indifferent to these things being VAT-free. I think the only thing that has come up as to whether or not the government would give consideration to returning to VAT-free on medicine, and the position of the government of the Bahamas is that we have made a number of medicines free entirely, and expanded the amount of drugs and expanded the amount of persons who have been eligible for receiving those medicines, those drugs.
Latry Raming is Director of Communications in the Office of the Prime Minister in the Bahamas. We appreciate your time so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raming.
Okay.
All right.
That is an election winner doing it. Ricardo.
Obviously, that's what it's about.
In the defense of the Philip Davis administration, they slashed in half in 2025 from 10 to 5.
Yes.
So they could make an argument that it's not just an election ploy, it is planned relief that is being phased in. They can always offer that. Of course, the cynic can say you slashed it in half just in time to really bring in the kicker for the election, right? The cynic could argue that, but
count me among the cynics.
Yes. But slashing it in half, slashing down and completely removing the VAT on foods, that's an election winner, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
All right.
But they should know how much it will cost, though.
Yeah. We're going to go for a break. After the break, your call, 630-937124, 618-6730.
For a limited time, Home International Limited is offering a special price on select Corian colors. You can't miss this. Choose Corian for your kitchen or bathroom countertops. Corian is durable, beautiful, and long-lasting, solid right through, and no sealing necessary. Visit us at 104 Constant Spring Road or telephone 876-755-1970 or 276-6448. Open Mondays to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
In times of loss, sharing information matters. Nationwide 90 FM offers professional obituary announcements, ensuring family, friends, and communities are informed with care and dignity.
It's been a long day.
Obituaries are aired weekdays at 8:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 7:30 p.m. When it's important to reach people, let us help you do so respectfully. Contact our sales team today, 876-630-1210 or sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com for more information. Nationwide 90 FM, informing Jamaica with care. Jamaica, get ready for a powerful comeback story. The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is proudly reopening the business kiosks and shops at Border St. Elizabeth on Friday, January 16. And guess what? We're bringing the story to your ears when Cliff Hughes Online broadcasts live from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness will deliver the keynote speech alongside Ministers Aubin Hill and Floyd Green. So tune in to Cliff Hughes Online Friday, January 16 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's the reopening of business kiosks and shops at Border St. Elizabeth. Catch our broadcast live on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2 or turn your station to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce.
Just before we go to the phone lines, Nationwide will be releasing its latest documentary, Deadly Ritual, the Kevin Smith story. That's going to come to you on Monday, January 19 at 6 p.m. We want to show you the trailer. Here it goes.
Nightfall, October 17, 2021. Police swoop down on the Pathway International Kingdom Restoration Ministries in Montego Bay, St. James.
Time to pick up the sword is now.
Playful teachers are running probably.
Prepare
for the deliverance fee. At that time was $250. $250 US, just the consultation fee.
The people who got at church, it's like some go for riches, making life better, in a better job, or to step up in a job, be a supervisor, something like that. I've seen it with my own eyes. I see some real big cars. I mean, what's up is either scammer, gunman, or some politician car them. Uncle asked me, say, you are going. I say, no. You start make up my face and I say, but what? Same time I say, when I see your mother, I just hang up the phone. I had him full of water.
Remember that Yeshua walked with his disciples who had their sword. He told them to pull it out because the time will come when you're going to need to pull it out. And so that time is now.
Deadly Ritual, the Kevin Smith story. Monday, January 19, 6 p.m. right here on Nationwide 90 FM. So, you want to be there for that.
Produced by one of the best in the business, the Emmy Award-winning Sonia Stewart here. She's one of the best in the business.
Yeah, big up the whole big yard, yeah? Big up yourself, Sonia.
An entirely unfortunate, sad story that people are still trying to piece together, make sense of. It's the entire ordeal is just sad, man.
Yeah, I remember it so very clearly, Tyrone. We're taking your calls now, 630-9371-24618-6730. Who done it?
Good evening, Richard. Good evening,
Tyrone.
The lowly Tyrone Reed, man. It's just me.
Yeah, Tyrone, they claim to be a middle-aged guy, no?
I think that's what the records say.
Yeah, what happened, Tyrone? So when I called you were saying that your monarchy here would not be the Prime Minister. You had called out to others hard working gentlemen. I think it's the Commissioner, Dr. Blake and Dr. Chang. But anyhow, let's move on from that. That is just you have your reason for that, but I disagree with you. I think the Prime Minister gave them all the support. It wasn't for the Prime Minister leadership and, the way how we go about dealing.
I know you want to move on, but I have a question for you. Did the Prime Minister give the previous National Security Minister all the support?
Did he give
the previous National Security Minister all the support?
No.
No?
No, I wouldn't say he gave him all the support because...
Oh! Whoa, that means the Prime Minister is derelict in his duty then.
What do you mean by that? Who done it?
Well, he inherited, in other words, it's not that he never gave him support, but I think he was on a roll because what he helps to militarize the police. You can see where the training difference now, and it's not just boots on the ground, but the technology that
Wait, hold on. Hold on. What was the question Tyrone asked you?
If Prime Minister gave the former commissioner, are you speaking of...
No, man, not commissioner. The previous National Security Minister, all the support he needed. We could include the commissioner in that as well. But I was talking about the previous office holder of national security.
That also again, Mr. Montague?
Yes.
Yeah, but did the Prime Minister give him all the support that he needed?
Well, yes, I think he gave him. Why did he with all support from?
So what were you answering when you said no?
No, man, I thought he was referring to the commission. I got a little bit.
Yeah, but I still wouldn't. Your answer still wouldn't make any sense to me. What do you mean by no?
No, I was saying no because the commissioner there at the time would have gotten some support, yes, but. In other words, he also have had some planning, and then it all goes with the timing again.
Who done it? We are talking about.
No,
Major General Anthony Anderson. Major General. Yeah, wait.
I don't want to hold up other call. Let's move on from this. What I really call about now is to weigh in on the road situation there now. If you guys notice that Spanish Town Road has been a long, drawn-out situation, and we saw where Washington Boulevard fixed, upgraded, Canton Spring, and Ugly Park Road. Why do you guys think there was a problem with Spanish Town Road? Putting it to both of you guys.
Me no know. Tell me no.
You're from don't answer for Tyrone.
No, man, Ricardo is best suited to respond to that.
Well, the problem with the fighting for case benefits and spoil has been the fundamental problem for Spanish Town Road because road work is linear, and every era you move, there is a done. There is this man and such and so forth. So, as a matter of fact, most contractors don't even want to do it because of the problem. However, when you look at Washington Boulevard and how the bottom part near Marble there, Tyrone, was messed up. And it's the same contractor do up by the top that was well done. And why was that so? Because it's alleged that Dodos was involved with the top.
No. All right, Hero. Who done it? Thank you for the call. No, let's just be clear. We have no evidence. We don't know what whodunit is talking about. We have no evidence to substantiate any of those allegations. Yeah?
What is did you hear this? I know I'm happy to hear it because I
630-937-124 618-6730. I'm not sure who done it going tonight. All over the place. Seems a bit confused there. Wesley.
Hey Ricky, what going?
There, what going?
Well, look at a race for you know. I don't know to you yesterday.
Where did they yesterday? What happened yesterday?
I tell Nora say you're one of them who deserve a race too.
Angry Bangla.
They are angry Bangla. All right, so just make me talk, you see, Ricky, because I tell Nora some people who deserve raise, you see? You're mentioning it, all right?
Well, I appreciate the advocacy.
Yes, man.
From your lips to God's ears. Well, maybe Cliff's ears, but yeah.
Oh, no, Father Jamaica.
Father Jamaica, indeed.
Father Jamaica.
What is going on? What's on your mind?
All right, listen. That guy I just talked to from the Bahamas, right?
Mm-hmm.
He needs to come ask the great Marlon, Morgan, and Abka Pittenley how them deal with it when them speak on behalf of the Prime Minister, you know.
Why you say that?
Because they're asking some questions and he still couldn't answer them. Like all the breakdown and things, you understand? No, Morgan guys come and just fly with that, you know.
You know what I've recognized? And I don't know if it's I don't think it's a problem with Mr. Ramming at all. But what I've realized that our colleagues in the rest of the region, our colleague journalists, have a very different approach. And I think that might be a consequence of the smallness of the society, maybe, I'm assuming. But there's a much more deferential attitude. So people like Tyrone who love to press people and couldn't work at Bahamas.
That's it.
That deport him.
That's exactly the same way I practice journalism. Here is how I practice journalism in Bahamas.
But
even in a small hut.
Yeah, but
it's exactly the same way I practice
there
journalism.
Is a different approach though, for sure.
So true. Anyway, Ricky, next question. What you observed today with the program the Prime Minister has?
I didn't see or hear the Prime Minister's presentation. I stopped at the Labour Minister.
All right, let me just quickly say the reason why I ask. Dr. Professor Floyd Morris is a spokesman on housing, right?
Housing, yes.
But he was there representing the opposition leader.
Correct.
So I'm saying now you do an investigation for me. Tell me how many national events you know that the opposition leader attends. Maybe call request to get that one.
So I don't know. I can't give you the number, but it is clear that he is increasingly absent.
Yeah, I have almost everything.
Yeah, that is clear.
Right, he's a representative.
Yes.
So that tells something.
I don't know if that. I don't know. Maybe he's busy. I don't know.
All right. Well, next thing now I'm gonna ask Carl when him come down. I ask Carl when him got the press conference because Carl calls the press conference for them, you know. So I ask Carl when him got the press conference and you ask him now how much are the salary he give out for charity from the raise that he get. Because especially the Melissa something, you know. He must give out all of his salary 80% when promised to give out to charity.
Wasn't that the, I think we didn't listen to him very carefully. I think what he promised to donate to charity wasn't the salary, It was, it wasn't the salary. I think it was the retro.
Right.
I think it was the retro and not the actual salary because remember there was the salary hike and then there was a retroactive payment that they also got.
It doesn't matter.
It was retroactive to a year. I'm just making the point that he has since been collecting his full salary.
I'm not challenging you. I'm saying either way it doesn't matter. What the opposition leader did is neither here nor there. They all accepted the salary.
Right.
Except for the Prime Minister, which I think also has he accepted it for this year? I'm not certain, but
no, nobody has asked him since he won the election.
It does not solve the problem that people had with the vexatious issue of the politicians rewarding themselves so handsomely. It doesn't solve the problem.
Well, you and I part company on this matter of.
We don't
share the consternation.
You practice journalism like you're on a small island, I would suppose.
No. I practice journalism as someone who is sensible, Tyrone.
Well, please train Ricardo, you're not Tyrone.
Oh, small island journalism from my
sensible, informed journalism.
Yeah, man. Please,
free of the outrage and pearl clutching.
Oh, come on! No, that's Ricardo. Come on.
No, Tyrone. Come on. No.
Was wrong.
No. I disagree with you, and you are wrong. You are wrong, and you should stop saying it.
Yeah, why these days you and I should debate the merits of this.
Well, Rick, you have my support. You deserve the race.
All right, thanks for the call.
I have a better suggestion for you if you want to race.
Anyway, who is next, Bugs? Marlo.
Yes, Tyrone. Yes, Ricardo.
Greetings, sir. Man.
Business. I think I'm not entering a safe space at this moment.
No, man. It's space.
I want to ask a question based on my, search for knowledge, and you want solutions, so you have to ask questions. You think, because I've heard it a lot in the Jamaican media space, when politicians in the Jamaican media space, interacting with politicians, I've noticed if a politician, there's a project he's talking about, accountability is always a strong part of that discussion with the politician.
As it should be.
And I'm saying to myself, I really ask myself, if this should be so, are we sending out a message to the broader society that we always have to question the politician in a way as if he's supposed to be accountable before there is even any reason to give accountability because the project don't even started?
No, Omalo, stop right there, so. First of all, hold on. If you are planning, let them not get to executing. If you are planning a project, right? There is an evaluation and monitoring part of what you plan. How you're going to monitor it, how you're going to evaluate the success, yeah? And invariably, politicians are spending taxpayers' money, sometimes billions of it. You heard the Labour Minister, for example, telling Tyrone that only one component of this, will be $10 billion. One component, and it's 6 components. That's a significant amount of money, yeah? Why wouldn't you want to know whether your leaders have thought it through in a way that will ensure that when they spend your money, it is being spent in the most efficient, transparent, and proper manner? Why wouldn't you want to know that?
Okay, I would
before even a dollar spent. Why wouldn't you want to know that the mechanisms are there to secure that?
Okay, this is what I would be thinking. I'm not trying to send out a message because the media is very powerful, and when the messages they ask and maybe the answer go back and forth with ministers, the ministers move away from what the real thing is about. But listen to this.
Hold on again. You say you say sending out a message. Yeah, okay.
Let me go straight to answering your question. The thing is, you want to make sure that when you are telling Jamaican people that you have to question the minister, it's almost as if you are telling them that the institutions that have set up here in Jamaica to hold government accountable are not credible enough. So let me keep pressuring him and making things like things at least.
No. I reject that characterization completely, Omalo. Because first, there's history. There's a history of mismanagement, misappropriation, not of this government, but broadly speaking, our political history has been characterized by that. What do you mean?
You think it's...
In fact, I go further. I go further to say that it is in very recent history and of recent vintage that we can say that there has been some serious attempts at stamping out corruption, mismanagement in this country.
You think, like, for instance, asking
the 1990s, project overruns were billions of dollars. People get project, fence go up, fence not done. What?
Look at this, Ricardo. Rather than a one-off question of asking the politicians about accountability, why not make sure that we make sure the institutions that are there to hold politicians accountable?
Because often, because Omalo, let's all right. So hold on. Okay.
Just consider. Because the perception, Ricardo, of corruption, I think it's greater in Jamaica than real corruption, because the evidence is not there at the police station to show the level of perception.
Hold on. Here's what I offer you in response to that. I offer you in response to that to say that because oftentimes the system that exists, the systems that you are relying on and you're saying that should do its job, they don't uncover much for whatever reason. But let me put it this way: the Auditor General would be one such. The Integrity Commission would be one such. The problem, though, is that a lot of times they come in after the fact.
Mocha.
Yeah, but them coming after the fact, after the money done spent. I mean, they might get a tip. Somebody might say, here is something. The Auditor General might look into it years after. It's after the fact. I don't think asking what are the measures that you have in place now.
Corruption after the fact?
No, sir. Corruption during. It can plan before.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with that question at all. In fact, I think it should always be asked.
It is always execution of it that we're supposed to worry about. So let's call to politicians and ask them to make the institution more secure, to hold them accountable, so that we can rely on the institution.
But the media is a part. But the media is a part of that accountability framework.
Huh?
The media is a part of that accountability framework.
Yeah, and I think when the media starts framing its questions in different ways, the society.
I don't know that there was any framing of a question. It was a very direct question. It wasn't framed in any way to suggest anything.
The message that's sent out behind the question, you have to understand how psychology reaches the people and how the people think.
I'm not going to accept that. No, Omalo, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept that.
I think the perception of corruption is greater in Jamaica than corruption itself.
Okay.
What do you think?
No, I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that?
No.
So why do you take the figures from the Statin and other institutions, the police and all of these, but when other institutions give figures that...
like which institutions?
Like institutions that are out there.
Yeah, and what is the corruption? What is the...
ever shown a certain amount of arrest for corruption in the government system?
The absence of the arrest, but the absence of the arrest don't mean it's not there. How much people? All right, let me give you some example. How much people you know buy a license? How much people you know try to get a police when them say left or right? How much of those? And how much of those stories do you know of? Let me not even look at government corruption.
So
let's just look at the society at the very base. How much people that pay to get a blight, to get a head? How much people do that?
Ricardo, so you see where is the problem? The problem is where the institutions are there, but they are not strengthened, and we keep bypassing strengthening them.
No, I don't know. I don't know that we haven't strengthened the institutions, because as I said to you, I think certainly in the last probably 15, 20 years, there has been a serious effort to do that. We've instituted something called the Integrity Commission. We have MOCA. There have been moves towards doing that.
I'm going now, Ricardo, but let me tell you something. You see, with what MOCA did the other day, MOCA instilled in me that I don't have to worry about what politicians are going to tell me accountability or whatever. I can depend on MOCA going to hold them accountable. And that they have to go worry about MOCA.
And so because of that, we shouldn't ask the question.
So that because of that, keep on the focus on how the project about develop and all of these things, and let the institution that's supposed to do that part. Sometimes the perception is too great, and people not analyze the perception as the right way, and make it become the norm.
Well, me can tell you, so we're not going to stop at the questions. You just have to go vex. Goodbye, Omalo. That's all the time we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're quiet though.
Yeah, I want it to be a safe space, so man.
Touche. That's all the time we have. Dana Davey, our producer. Thank you so much. Andrew Glenn Anderson, the man behind the controls. Thank you. My colleagues in the newsroom, the very best in the business. Big up the whole of the Big Yard Massive, yeah? Big up the Big Yard Massive. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Tyrone Reed. Good evening.
In times of loss, sharing information matters. Nation